There are people who were never meant to become heroes, yet fate forces them to be. And Wang Lin is one of them. Born into an ordinary family, he carried a simple wish in his heart to cultivate immortality and repay his parents' kindness. But the world is never that kind. No talent, no background, no guidance, everything seemed to whisper to him, the path of cultivation is not for you. Yet in the midst of that hopelessness, Wang Lin chose something that very few have the courage to do. He kept going. He walked forward with stubbornness. He walked forward with longing. He walked forward with everything left in his resilient heart. A strange opportunity came to him, opening a path of cultivation drenched in blood and loneliness. There, every improvement required a sacrifice. Every step forward meant losing something precious. To grow stronger, he had to endure 100 times more than ordinary people. Renegade Immortal is the tale of a man who never submits. A man willing to defy the heavens, defy fate, and defy the world just to protect what his heart refuses to let go. This is not merely an immortal cultivation story. This is the journey of a soul so powerful that even eternity must bow. And today, I invite you to step into that journey, the journey of Wang Lin, the man who walks against the will of heaven to find the answer meant for himself. Death Sect, I'm coming. The man's voice was soft. He was Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He took a step forward, his figure suddenly disappearing, reappearing hundreds of meters in the air. The layer of light surrounding him immediately exerted a tremendous resistance, preventing him from flying further. At this moment, he was standing at the same spot where he had reached the highest point 3 months ago. Continuing to fly would be extremely difficult. But now, his expression was normal. His speed not only didn't decrease but actually increased, like a shooting star suddenly rising from the ground, soaring straight into the sky. As a result, the resistance on the light screen increased countless times. Under this accumulation, it reached a terrifying level. Wang Lin's body finally stopped. From a distance, his current position was clearly visible as a silver mountain. Wang Lin was the mountain's peak, while the luminous screen descended 3 inches from his head, covering 10 miles below. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he raised his right thumb. Instantly, a dazzling beam of light condensed from his thumb. Suddenly, all the light in the heavens and earth seemed to vanish. Only this thumb remained. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he pointed his thumb forward, directly placing it 3 inches above his head. The moment his thumb pressed down, the luminous screen flickered, and cracking sounds emanated from within. Cracks suddenly appeared everywhere. From afar, the screen seemed on the verge of shattering. But in an instant, these cracks vanished. The light screen restored itself to its original state. Wang Lin's eyes darkened, and he unleashed the annihilation finger once more, pointing it at the light screen. A deafening roar echoed, as if the very earth itself trembled. The light screen shook even more violently, and cracks appeared everywhere. But the moment a crack appeared, a beam of light swept over it, and all the cracks vanished. Wang Lin's expression darkened, and he snorted softly. He raised his right index finger, his eyes revealing a sinister glint. Demon transformation finger, Wang Lin exclaimed. Waves of dark light suddenly appeared from all directions, converging frantically on Wang Lin's finger. At the same time, the immortal power within his body surged, directed towards this finger. Sichu Nan once said that the higher one's cultivation level, the greater the power of the demonic transformation finger. Now that I've reached the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm, the power of this divine ability should increase several times. And I'm sure I can break this formation. As the immortal power surged through Wang Lin's body, his complexion instantly changed from bright to dark, and a sinister aura suddenly emanated from him. A purple flame slowly appeared on the outside of his right finger. A surge of overwhelming demonic energy suddenly erupted from Wang Lin's fingertip, instantly enveloping an entire 10-mile radius. Like a demon king emerging, Wang Lin's entire body exuded a demonic aura. All his immortal power had now reversed and returned to the demonic flame on his fingertip. This process was not unpleasant for him. On the contrary, it gave him an extremely refreshing feeling. This feeling was incredibly addictive. Very quickly, the purple flame on his fingertip grew brighter and brighter, its aura several times stronger than the divine power Wang Lin had displayed 3 months earlier. Wang Lin pointed his right index finger forward, instantly piercing through the light barrier 3 inches above his head. The moment his index finger pierced the barrier, the dazzling purple flame centered around Wang Lin's finger surged wildly in all directions. At this moment, the light barrier was like a piece of paper, engulfed in flames. In an instant, the purple flame spread downwards, burning everything in its path. In just 3 breaths, the raging fire had left a circular purple trail within a 10-mile radius, the remnants of the light barrier that had once trapped Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were icy cold, flashing with intense chill. The most important thing for him now was how to return to the Heavenly Fortune sect. He was unfamiliar with this place, not knowing the direction of the Heavenly Fortune sect. His eyes flashed, and he patted his storage bag with his right hand. Immediately, a soul banner appeared in his hand, which he waved. A primordial spirit flew out. "How you do?" Wang Lin said calmly. The primordial spirit trembled, its eyes wide open. At first, it stared blankly at Wang Lin, then looked around. At this moment, its eyes suddenly shone brightly. It carefully looked for a while longer, and finally, its eyes shone even brighter. This is Heavenly Fortune Star," the primordial spirit exclaimed. This Cao Yidu was someone Wang Lin had taken in from the Yin sect. Wang Lin was unfamiliar with Heavenly Fortune Star and easily got lost. Back then, when he learned that Cao Yidu was originally from Heavenly Fortune Star, he had this idea. He promised him a transformed body, which moved Cao Yidu, and he willingly became Wang Lin's guide on Heavenly Fortune Star. "Cao Yidu, do you know the way from here to the Heavenly Fortune sect?" Wang Lin immediately asked. Cao Yidu's eyes showed a thoughtful expression, and he pointed his right hand westward, saying, "Go west for about 300,000 miles and you'll reach the mountain gate of the Heavenly Fortune sect." Wang Lin looked up in the direction Cao Yidu pointed, his eyes flashing, and he retracted his hand, his body like lightning rushing forward. Wang Lin's speed was pushed to its limit. Along the way, only a series of thunderous roars could be heard, incessantly. The sound of tearing wind echoed continuously, and Wang Lin transformed into a rainbow streaking across the sky, flying towards the Heavenly Fortune sect at top speed. During his flight, Wang Lin's eyes grew even colder. Since entering the Heavenly Fortune sect, the purple lineage had been constantly at odds with him. Wang Lin had endured it, but in the end, Zhao Xingxie and his group dared to use outside forces to oppress him, transporting him and trapping him in the stone forest. If it weren't for Wang Lin's cultivation breakthrough thanks to the large amount of immortal jade he had just acquired, he would have probably been imprisoned there for several years. If that were the case, upon release, his life and death would be at the mercy of others. "In my work, if others don't offend me, I won't offend them, but if they do, I will kill them without mercy." Wang Lin's eyes flashed with cold light, his speed incredibly fast. Instantly teleporting again, he continuously teleported, relentlessly rushing forward. Finally, after noon on the second day, he saw the Heavenly Fortune sect in the distance. At this moment, the Heavenly Fortune sect was extremely lively, filled with boisterous laughter and chatter. Feasts and banquets were held throughout the 7 sect's mountain gates, with all kinds of immortal fruits and mountain wines available. After the 7-day birthday banquet, the Heavenly Fortune Son would give his sermon. Following that, the Purple Emperor sect would compete for the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons. This event, held a month after the birthday banquet, was even more attention-grabbing. From afar, the entire Purple sect was enveloped in vast expanses of clouds. These clouds, after being condensed by magical power, could solidify like the ground. The Purple sect's birthday banquet was attended by various sects originally from the Heavenly Fortune Star. While some of these sects possessed profound cultivation, their combined strength was not overwhelming. They were all at the lowest level of the Heavenly Fortune Star, thus only able to attend the Purple sect's banquet. At the banquet on the Purple sect's mountain range, within the Purple lineage, senior brother Zhao Crossing-Sha clearly held the main seat. To his right sat, in order, the middle-aged male second senior brother, by way, the third senior brother, the female fourth senior sister who had reached the late stage of the transformation realm, followed by 3 empty seats. The fifth senior brother was in seclusion, the sixth senior brother was abroad and had not yet returned, and the 7th senior brother Wang Lin was absent. Therefore, these 3 empty seats were due to the 5th senior brother's punishment of seclusion, the 6th senior brother's absence, and the 7th senior brother's absence. To Zhao Xingxi's left were 6 elderly men in different robes. These 6 were the 6 great elders of the 6th sect's Antianyun Star. The lowest ranked among them had reached the early stage of the peak realm, while the highest had reached the late stage of the peak realm. Even so, the power of these 6 sects was too small, and they could only sit here. Today is the 1000th-year birthday celebration of my master, after which he will give a sermon. Gentlemen, our Z sect has been lacking in many things these past few days. I hope you will forgive us. Zhao Xingsha smiled, stood up, picked up his wine glass, raised it in a toast, and then drank it all. Zhao Xingsha's voice, though calm, carried clearly for hundreds of miles. Everyone around raised their glasses to toast each other. Suddenly, a purple rainbow streaked from the distant eastern horizon. A purple cloud drifted in from the east, instantly illuminating the horizon with a purple hue. Within this purple cloud, a piercing sound echoed through the heavens and earth. On the summit of Mount Zizong, amidst the endless expanse of clouds stretching for hundreds of miles, the cultivators of the various sects on Taiyan Star immediately noticed this anomaly. They all put down their wine cups and looked towards the east. He not only escaped the encirclement, but unexpectedly reached the midstage of the nascent soul realm. Zhao Crossing's face instantly turned extremely grim, his wine cup shattering into dust with a loud crash. Not only him, but the second-in-command sitting beside Zhao Crossingsha also showed a look of terror, his eyes darkening. He jumped to his feet moving slightly, and instantly transformed into a purple streak of light, shooting towards the horizon like an arrow. Bai Wei, however, showed a strange glint in her eyes. She picked up her wine cup, took a small sip, and a smile played on her lips. As for the fourth sister who was besieging Wang Lin, her gaze remained calm, showing no change whatsoever. The second-in-command of the purple lineage, the middle-aged man, moved like lightning. After rushing forward, he shouted, "Today is a joyous day for our heavenly fortune sect. Anyone who dares to trespass will be killed without mercy." He didn't give Wang Lin a chance to speak, directly accusing him. As he spoke, he formed hand seals, clapped his hands in the air in front of him, and shouted, "Supreme power." As soon as he spoke, a cluster of yellow energy flashed from his palms, transforming into a large cloud of sand like a swarm of bees, flying towards the purple cloud at a speed several times faster than the man himself. Wang Lin, like a torch, instantly appeared above the white cloud. At this moment, the supreme power of the middle-aged man, his second senior brother, had already transformed into a cloud of sand and struck. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, without a trace of impatience. His body didn't hesitate. As he charged forward, his right hand patted his storage bag, instantly grasping the forbidden spanner. With a shake, countless restrictions roared out from within, forming a black vortex of restrictions in front of him. With a single gust, a raging wind howled in all directions, and wailing sounds echoed throughout the heavens and earth. The incoming sand was instantly swept into this vortex of restrictions, and just as it was about to strike Wang Lin, it was torn in two, transforming into two streams of yellow light that merged into the vortex of restrictions. Wang Lin calmly stepped through the vortex of restrictions, coldly glancing at his second senior brother, and calmly said, "You've provoked me twice. If I don't kill you, I'm not Wang." After speaking, Wang Lin raised his right index finger, and the immortal power in his body suddenly reversed, a wisp of demonic fire appearing at the tip of his finger. The middle-aged man's expression changed, and he shouted, "Seventh Elder, today is Master's birthday banquet. There are many fellow cultivators here. You mustn't act recklessly." Wang Lin's expression was calm, and he glanced around at the surrounding cultivators. These cultivators were all observing coldly, showing no intention of helping. "Fellow cultivators, today is a competition for our purple sect. If outsiders participate, don't blame our heavenly fortune sect for pursuing the matter later," Wang Lin said coldly, then stepped forward, his right index finger pointing at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man quickly retreated. He had experienced the suffering caused by this demonic fire before, and seeing it again, he couldn't help but want to flee. At this moment, Zhao Crossingsha, with a gloomy expression, stepped forward, and in one step, he was in front of the middle-aged man. He looked at Wang Lin and said in a low voice, "Seventh brother, go back to your seat. The battle of the purple sect isn't today." Wang Lin didn't even glance at Zhao Shaxing and flicked his right index finger. Immediately, a demonic flame flashed, instantly transforming into an enormous flame that threatened to engulf the entire sky, causing the surrounding white clouds to glow purple. Demonic flame. The knowledgeable people from the various sects sitting behind the banquet table recognize the source of this flame at a glance. The Heavenly Fortune sect values everything according to its own will. It's not surprising that a disciple can produce demonic flames. However, this person is very strange. We've never known such a person existed in the purple sect before. Hearing Taoist Zhao call this person seventh brother, could he be the seventh disciple of the purple sect? Wasn't Sun Yun the seventh brother back then? A cacophony of whispers filled the air. The demonic flame flashed and shot straight towards the middle-aged man. Zhao Crossing's expression was grim. He formed a hand seal with his right hand and softly muttered, "Great freedom of heaven and earth technique." As he spoke, white halos of light suddenly appeared from his right hand, spreading out wildly and quickly enveloping the demonic fire. Wang Lin's eyes showed a mocking expression as he softly shouted, "Explode!" In an instant, the demonic fire, enveloped by the halos of light, flickered violently. A deafening explosion resounded, and the demonic fire self-destructed, shattering. After the self-destruction, a surge of demonic energy, capable only of high-level demonic cultivators, erupted from within, unleashing a furious torrent of energy from the explosion site. Suddenly, countless purple flames, carrying a powerful attack force, directly surged towards the surrounding light, causing it to collapse instantly. The light, unable to resist, transformed into purple flames and was quickly incinerated into ashes. In just 3 breaths, the entire light had been reduced to ashes and vanished. Zhao Crossing's expression was extremely grim as he retreated rapidly. He wasn't the only one. The middle-aged man also quickly retreated without hesitation. Besides these two, the cultivators from the various sects attending the banquet on all sides, upon seeing the self-destructing demonic fire, unleashed their divine abilities and scattered in all directions. Almost instantly, within 1,000 jang radius, not a single cultivator remained. The self-destructing demonic fire swept out for 1,000 jang before gradually dissipating. Within that 1,000 jang radius, all the banquet tables had been reduced to ashes. Even the white clouds had been burned, creating 1,000 jang wide crater. Wang Lin's figure moved like lightning. Without a word, he subtly moved, grasping the immortal sword in his hand, and swung it forward. A 10-foot-long beam of sword light suddenly appeared, roaring as it flashed down towards the middle-aged man. At the same time, the curved saber followed closely behind the immortal sword, howling as it flew out. The middle-aged man, realizing he was in trouble, let out a low growl, his hands forming a hand seal, shouting, "Forbidden's technique, immortal demon body." As soon as he spoke, his entire body crackled, and just as the sword light was about to strike, he instantly transformed into a cloud of black mist. The immortal sword swept across, splitting the mist in two, but the two mists immediately merged back together, then quickly flew to one side, clearly attempting to escape. Wang Lin sneered. The immortal sword in his hand vibrated, and amidst Su Ligu's roar, transformed into a beam of sword light, relentlessly pursuing him. The saber also advanced rapidly, instantly chasing after the black mist, flashing down furiously. Immediately, the black mist was torn into pieces, and from within it came the agonizing screams of a middle-aged man. Zhao Crossing watched, a cold smile on his face, but did not intervene. Wang Lin didn't even look at Zhao Crossing. His body flashed, disappearing from the spot, and reappearing to block the escape route of the black mist. "You can't escape," Wang Lin said coldly. The scattered black mists merged together again, and from within came the middle-aged man's roar. "Today is Master's birthday. If you kill me, Master will surely expel you from the sect." Wang Lin's eyes turned cold. He potted his storage bag with his right hand, instantly taking out the kanji whip. With a loud bang, the merging black mist shattered. At the same time, the person's primordial spirit was flung out of the black mist. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. The moment the person's primordial spirit appeared, he moved slightly, directly lunging forward and grabbing it with his right hand. The primordial spirit let out a scream, flashed, and suddenly teleported away. Wang Lin's eyes were cold, and the kanji whip suddenly extended. This whip had been in his hands for a long time, and he had naturally studied it thoroughly. This whip had no length, it could extend to the horizon. With a loud bang, the primordial spirit, appearing 1,000 feet away, trembled violently, almost shattering. A deep wound appeared on its back, and a large amount of immortal essence was instantly released. Wang Lin's body flashed, disappearing from his spot. When he reappeared, he was in front of the primordial spirit, directly grabbing it with his hand. The primordial spirit's eyes showed fear, and it was about to speak when Wang Lin seized it and threw it into the soul banner. Wang Lin turned to look at Zhao Crossing-Shaw, who was observing from a distance, and said in a low voice, "Next will be you." Zhao Crossing-Shaw stared at Wang Lin, suddenly smiling, and said, "Seventh brother, you killed the second brother and caused a great disaster. There's no need for me to intervene. Where is the law enforcement elder? Capture this person and hand him over to my master for punishment." Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, and he coldly said, "Today, anyone who obstructs me will become my enemy." After saying that, he moved forward, covering 100 meters, directly towards Zhao Crossing-Shaw. Among the people of the Purple Sect were several law enforcement elders, each with a hesitant expression as they looked at each other, none daring to take a step forward. Zhao Crossing-Shaw's face was grim. He retreated a few steps, then abruptly turned to look at Bai Wei and the fourth brother, shouting, "Fourth brother." The woman remained calm, coldly glancing at Zhao Crossing-Shaw, and calmly said, "I have repaid your kindness from 3 months ago and agreed not to compete with you for the title of Heavenly Fortune's 7 sons. Now give me a reason to act." Zhao Crossing-Shaw gritted his teeth and said, "All right, very well." After Zhao Xingsha finished speaking, he clasped his hands together, chanting a series of complex and incomprehensible incantations. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He opened his mouth and spat out the soul banner, which immediately appeared in his hand. He shook it, and the remaining few main souls flew out. Wang Lin pointed his finger, and these main souls immediately roared and attacked Zhao Xingsha. At the same time, Wang Lin raised his right hand, and the beast-taming scroll instantly transformed into the divine archery chariot and stopped to the side. Zhao Xingsha suddenly raised his head. At this moment, a huge, monstrous phantom suddenly appeared above his head. The creature was about 100 feet tall, with 2 horns on its head. Although faint, it exuded an extremely strong aura of evil. This demonic creature was enormous, its body shimmering with an eerie blue color, especially its hands, each fingernail resembling a flying sword, all of which showed the extraordinary nature of this creature. At this moment, the phantom of the demonic creature had its eyes tightly closed, only its enormous head moving slightly, as if it could awaken at any time. The further down the phantom descended, the more indistinct it became, especially with Zhao Crossing-Shaw below. His face was pale, clearly indicating that performing this divine ability had placed a considerable burden on him. At this moment, a strange symbol flickered between his eyebrows. Each time this symbol flickered, the phantom of the demonic creature behind it became clearer, and at the same time, Zhao Crossing-Shaw's body weakened slightly. As soon as it appeared, the cultivators from all sects around were terrified, all quickly standing up and scattering in all directions. Even the 6 peak level cultivators showed fear in their eyes. Ancient Demon T. He Old Man Zhang Tianzun, a late-stage peak level elder of the Shurun sect, had remained silent for 7 days, not uttering a word. Even when Wang Lin used the demonic fire earlier, he only glanced at it. Now he spoke softly, his voice tinged with doubt, clearly not entirely certain. "Zhang Taoist, is that thing truly the ancient demon that appeared in ancient legends?" The old man beside Zhang Tianzun asked in a low voice. Very similar, Zhang Tianzun pondered for a moment before replying. The main soul released by Wang Lin, seeing the strange creature, continued to charge forward, attacking Zhao Xingsha. Zhao Xingsha's eyes flashed with a strange light as he slowly raised his right hand and pointed into the void. The large illusory figure behind him suddenly moved in unison. The strange creature also slowly raised its right hand, pointing into the void along with Zhao Xingsha. Instantly, a complex aura suddenly emanated from Zhao Xingsha's finger. In fact, to be precise, this aura was released from the finger of the illusory figure behind Zhao Xingsha. This aura far surpassed spiritual power, even comparable to immortal power, and was no weaker than Wang Lin's self-destructing demonic fire. Demonic power, Zhang Tianzun took a deep breath and said in a low voice. Wang Lin's eyes widened in surprise. He saw a red vortex appear where Zhao Xingsha's right hand pointed. This vortex spun wildly, causing the main souls released from the soul banner to be unexpectedly drawn towards it. Zhao Xingsha's face turned pale, and the enormous illusory figure behind him showed a hint of green on its face, its eyes trembling as if about to awaken. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. His heart stirred slightly, and the soul-slaying banner in his hand trembled. The banner suddenly grew to a size of 100 feet, sweeping horizontally and instantly enveloping these main souls, drawing them inside. As soon as the main souls were retrieved, the phantom behind Zhao Xingche suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. Its eyes opened, revealing a gaze that would deeply shock any living being who saw it. This gaze was unusually cold, several times colder than that of a practitioner of the Heartless Tao, and 3 times more bone-chilling than a cultivator of the absolute emotion technique. Wang Lin had only ever seen such a gaze in the eyes of the ancient god's heavenly messenger's avatar. This enormous, demonic phantom blinked its eyes, immediately raised its right hand, and suddenly lunged towards Wang Lin. As it raised its arm, Zhao Xingche's body seemed to lose control and simultaneously raised his arm as well. Wang Lin said nothing, his body rapidly retreating backward. At the same time, he formed hand seals, suddenly moving to the side of the divine archery chariot, and slapped it with his right hand. A tremendous roar immediately erupted from the divine archery chariot. The soul beast, unyielding to the heavens and earth, instantly transformed from the divine archery chariot, its fierce eyes staring intently at the bizarre creature, and with a roar, recklessly charged towards it. The bizarre creature's eyes flashed, ignoring Wang Lin and focusing on the soul beast. Its right hand changed direction, suddenly grabbing at the soul beast. The soul beast struggled and roared, its entire body transforming into a shooting star, dragging the divine archery chariot directly into the creature. A deafening explosion resounded across 1,000 miles. Ignoring the creature's right hand, the soul beast's body pierced through and into the creature's body. The enormous, bizarre phantom showed a strange expression, its right hand grabbing its chest, unexpectedly pulling the soul beast out. It glanced coldly, opening its mouth wide to swallow it. "Vile creature, get out of here!" A loud, frenzied scream echoed from within the Heavenly Fortune Sect's main headquarters in the distance. As soon as the sound emerged, the strange creature trembled, its eyes showing signs of struggle. Finally, as if sighing inwardly, it released its soul beast, its entire body shrinking and transforming into a beam of green light that flashed violently back into the symbol between Zhao Shaxing's eyebrows before slowly disappearing. Zhao Shaxing's body trembled, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, enduring the backlash of power, staring intently at Wang Lin, a sinister smile playing on his lips. After the soul beast was released, it strangely didn't struggle or roar, but instead glared at Zhao Shaxing. Finally, with a flash, it returned to the divine archery chariot and vanished, transforming back into the beast-taming scroll. At this moment, a powerful red cloud approached from the horizon, stopping in midair, instantly condensing into a large old man in a red robe. His face was fiery red, reeking of alcohol, and he carried a large gourd on his back. After appearing, he hiccuped like a drunkard, then glared and cursed. "What are you fighting for? If you keep fighting back and forth, that old immortal Ta Yanzi will scold me. You disciples ruined my wine. I only had half left to drink." Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He waved his right hand, retrieving the beast-taming scroll, and with a slight movement of his body, took a step forward to stand below his senior sister, then sat down at the third empty table. This was his seat. Wang Lin casually adjusted his robe and sat down. Zhao Crossingsha glanced at the red-faced old man, respectfully clasped his hands, and said, "Disciple greets senior Uncle Qilai." The red-faced old man glanced at Zhao Crossingsha and said, "You recognize me?" Zhao Crossingsha nodded and respectfully said, "My disciple met Uncle Master once thousands of years ago when I first joined the Heavenly Fortune Sect." The old man snorted softly and said, "Even if you recognize it, it's useless. The spirit within your body has just formed, and you're forcing yourself to use it like this. Just wait for your master's punishment." After saying that, he raised his large hand and grabbed Zhao Shaxing. Then his eyes flashed as he looked at Wang Lin, a look of amusement in his eyes. He smiled and said, "That young man, your master has very high expectations of you. Your senior brother won't be appearing in the competition for the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons, so rest assured, then." The old man bowed to the cultivators of the various sects and laughed heartily, saying, "Gentlemen, I'm sure some of you recognize this old Taoist. Today's fight between the Jinyers of the Purple Sect has spoiled your enjoyment. Please don't blame us." Seeing Qilai, Zhang Tianzun hurriedly and respectfully said, "Senior, please don't overthink it. How could we lose interest? Watching their fight just now was very enjoyable. The Z lineage of the Heavenly Fortune sect has found a successor. As soon as he spoke, others followed suit. Almost all the cultivators present seemed equally pleased. Chi Lai laughed heartily, shaking his head. Don't praise these rebellious sons too much. After today's event, tomorrow will be the day my senior brother, Che Yunzi, gives his lecture. Gentlemen, I have important matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave. With that, Chi Lai moved slightly, grabbed Dao Crossing Shaw, and transformed into a crimson cloud, roaring and flying away like lightning, disappearing from sight. Wang Lin, who had remained silent since the appearance of the red-faced old man, now picked up his wine cup, poured a full gulp, and his eyes showed a thoughtful expression. What kind of magic did Zhao Shaxing just use? It doesn't seem like an attack from a mere mental image. It's somewhat similar to the divine abilities of ancient gods. According to the red-faced old man, it's a demonic spirit recently refined within Zhao Shaxing's body and shouldn't be used casually, while deep in thought. Many cultivators from various sects came forward to toast Wang Lin. In the recent great battle, Wang Lin easily defeated the second-in-command of the Purple Sect, forcing the first-in-command to use that strange demonic spirit. But everyone present could see that this bizarre divine ability was both self-destructive and harmful. Judging from Zhao Shaxing's appearance, the person who used it must have suffered a tremendous backlash. Moreover, the seventh elder of this purple sect hasn't made a move yet. He's only been using his magic weapon to defend himself. Once he does, well, the outcome is uncertain. Everyone here can see the meaning behind Qi Li's words at a glance. Heavenly Fortune Master truly holds this person in extremely high regard. Otherwise, why would only Zhao Sha Crossing be captured during the battle, while the second elder wasn't prosecuted, and instead, he left behind a seemingly comforting remark? Cultivators are all experienced and seasoned individuals, especially those who can attend this banquet. In their eyes, Wang Lin will undoubtedly become one of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Masters, and any friendship he has will certainly be beneficial in the future. Therefore, people continuously offered toasts. Wang Lin withdrew his thoughts and smiled slightly. He knew that to stand firm on Heavenly Fortune Star, besides those in the Heavenly Fortune sect, he also needed to make friends with people from other sects, which wouldn't harm him in any way. Therefore, at the Purple Sect banquet, a climactic event occurred on the final day of the 7-day celebration. Wang Lin naturally replaced Zhao Crossing Shaw as the host of the banquet, raising his glass and chatting with the majority of cultivators from various sects. As for Baiwei and the 4th senior sister, not many people came to toast them, and it felt somewhat deserted. It wasn't until late at night, when the banquet was almost over, that Wang Lin respectfully raised his wine glass to Zhang Jianzun. After Zhang Jianzun and his group left, his eyes flashed as he looked at the 4th senior sister not far away. 4th senior sister, when will you pass on that great teleportation technique to your junior brother? Wang Lin's eyes flickered as he slowly spoke. The 4th senior sister looked at Wang Lin and after a moment smiled, patted her storage bag, took out a jade slip, and tossed it to Wang Lin. I originally intended to free you after Master's birthday banquet ended, but I didn't expect the 7th senior brother to be able to free himself. This is unavoidable for me, and I hope you won't blame me, junior brother. Besides the great teleportation forbiddance technique, this jade slip also contains another forbiddance technique that my master taught me years ago. This forbiddance technique was created by my master based on a low-grade immortal technique, and its power is immense. I'm giving it to you, junior brother, to apologize for what happened last month. Wang Lin took the jade slip, glanced at his 4th senior sister, pondered for a moment, and nodded. He didn't want to completely fall out with this person unless absolutely necessary. After all, his 4th senior sister's abilities had reached the late stage of the nascent soul realm, and she hadn't shown any malice yet. Even last month, she only used a forbiddance technique to seal him, not actually attacking him. As for Baiwei, he smiled and said, 7th brother, it seems the title of Heavenly Fortune Master is now yours. I congratulate you in advance. After saying that, he raised his wine cup, gestured towards Wang Lin, and took a sip. Wang Lin smiled, finished his wine, then stood up, clasped his hands, and said, 2 of you, I still have some minor matters to attend to. See you tomorrow. Baiwei nodded and smiled, saying, 7th senior sister, please go ahead. Don't worry about us. Fourth senior sister also nodded and smiled. Wang Lin's body flashed, and with a stomp of his foot, he transformed into a rainbow and disappeared. After he left, Bai Wei and fourth senior sister chatted for a while before dispersing. On his way back to the Ziwei Pavilion, Bai Wei's eyes revealed a malicious look as he gazed towards the main sect of the Heavenly Fortune sect in the distance, muttering, "Master is too unfair. I can't believe he implanted a demon spirit into Senior Brother's body. If this demon spirit awakens, Senior Brother's abilities will surely be restored soon. At that time, I will never be able to avenge myself. What should I do about this?" He frowned and walked back to the Ziwei Pavilion. Wang Lin flew onward, encountering several cultivators from other sects along the way, exchanging greetings. Before long, he arrived back at the Purple Forest Pavilion. 3 months had passed since his return, yet the Purple Forest Pavilion remained unchanged. With a flash, Wang Lin directly entered the 3rd floor, sat in the secret chamber, and with a flick of his right hand, took out a jade slip. This jade slip was given to him by his 4th senior sister, containing records of Forbidden's techniques. The technique capable of teleporting 10,000 miles was the top choice. Wang Lin had been captivated by this technique since his first encounter. Now his divine consciousness swept over it, carefully examining it, his brows furrowing. After a while, he withdrew his divine consciousness, his eyes showing a pensive expression, thinking, "So this is what this teleportation Forbidden's technique is like." Taking advantage of the moment before teleportation, he used this Forbidden's technique to seal himself, allowing him to use the teleportation spell several times in quick succession. This generated a strange power, which would explode simultaneously upon being released, increasing the teleportation distance countless times. The principle of this method was simple, but its practical application was fraught with danger. If the timing of the seal was not precise, it could easily send one completely into a spatial rift. Furthermore, it couldn't pinpoint the exact location. It was likely that his 4th senior sister, thanks to her late-stage nascent soul divine consciousness and her familiarity with the terrain of the Heavenly Fortune Star, was able to teleport precisely to the Stone Forest. However, overall, this technique did possess some extraordinary abilities. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then stood up and stepped forward, his entire body instantly becoming ethereal. At the same time, Wang Lin's right hand formed a strange hand seal and struck forward. Immediately, a silver aura emanated from his hand, enveloping the surroundings. The moment the silver aura appeared, Wang Lin immediately felt a current of water flowing over his body, as if he were at the bottom of a deep sea, everything around him becoming solid. He carefully sensed this feeling, his eyes flashing, and took a step forward. Under normal circumstances, this single step would have transported him thousands of miles away. But now, after this step, his body only flickered. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he took another step, then continued forward as if climbing a ladder to heaven. He took a total of 7 steps. These 7 steps caused Wang Lin's body to ascend higher and higher, finally reaching more than a meter above the ground. The silver aura surrounding him suddenly dissipated and disappeared. The moment this aura vanished, Wang Lin immediately felt an incredibly powerful force from all directions converging on his body. At this moment, his body was uncontrollable, flashing and disappearing. 100,000 miles away, atop a mountain, numerous silver rays of light suddenly appeared, accompanied by a resounding explosion from the mountaintop. Clouds of dust rose, and Wang Lin, covered in mud, emerged from the mountain peak. His eyes gleamed with excitement as he muttered, "This teleportation technique is indeed incredibly powerful. I've come to the right place on Heavenly Fortune Star. If I had stayed on Vermilion Bird Star, how could I have learned such a divine ability? Such a long distance is probably only a peak-level cultivator capable of performing it." At this moment, Wang Lin's heart was filled with joy. He looked up at the moon, let out a long cry, and simultaneously his body trembled, all the mud on him instantly disappearing. Under the moonlight, Wang Lin's body moved slightly, instantly transforming into a rainbow, heading directly towards the horizon. While flying, Wang Lin took out the jade slip, his divine consciousness sweeping through it, examining the second Forbidden's technique left behind by his 4th senior sister. Upon seeing it, Wang Lin's eyes showed a strange expression. He stopped, hovering in midair, his eyebrows furrowing. This person's second Forbidden's technique has no name. It's a type of magic that utilizes immortal power. The path of this immortal power is unlike that of ordinary beings, instead circulating in a bizarre way, forming a spiral within the body before being released. This spiral has a total of 9 turns. The longer it accumulates within the body, the greater its power upon release. According to his 4th senior sister's records, when their master taught her this forbidden technique, he said it was modeled after a low-grade immortal technique. This technique is merely imitation. Even if it reaches 9 cycles within the body, it's only equivalent to the power of 3 cycles of a true immortal technique. Wang Lin pondered for a while, not immediately trying to cultivate it. Instead, he swept his consciousness around, finding a secluded valley nearby, sat cross-legged inside, and carefully studied it. Wang Lin wasn't a reckless person. His 4th senior sister had generously given him such a forbidden technique, so naturally, he had to carefully verify it before deciding whether to cultivate it or not. After carefully studying it for a long time, with Wang Lin's knowledge, comparing it to the 3 killing moves taught by Sichuan, he finally confirmed that this forbidden technique was real. 9-turn immortal cultivation technique. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with determination. He took a deep breath, and the immortal power in his body stirred slightly, immediately separating into a stream. Following the requirements of the forbidden technique, it paused briefly in a hidden place within his body before attempting to rotate. If Wang Lin hadn't reached the nascent soul stage, his body would still be mortal, and his aptitude would obviously be insufficient for cultivating immortal techniques. But now Wang Lin's body has undergone the condensation of immortal power, shedding his mortal bones and acquiring an immortal body. Although, in everyone's eyes, an immortal body isn't the best, only average, Wang Lin is extremely satisfied. This immortal body is immeasurably better than his previous mortal form. This is also the reason why Wang Lin previously focused on using magical artifacts rather than magic. Because cultivating magic is closely related to one's spiritual root aptitude. Sometimes, if aptitude is insufficient, a type of magic, no matter how many times one tries, will be useless. But if aptitude is sufficient, it's possible to learn it completely in just one attempt. The flow of immortal power within Wang Lin's body was controlled, slowly rotating, gradually completing a full cycle, fulfilling the requirement of the first transformation. As soon as he completed one cycle, a sharp surge of power suddenly flashed from within. Wang Lin's consciousness stirred slightly, and he immediately observed carefully, gradually discovering some clues. This 9-turn immortal refining technique was releasing a stream of golden immortal power. Wang Lin pondered for a while. The immortal power he had just controlled rotating within his body slowly began to spin again, progressing towards completing the second cycle. The speed of the second cycle was considerably slower than the first. After 3 incense sticks worth of time, it was finally completed. As soon as the second cycle was finished, the sharp sensation within this stream of immortal power increased tenfold, a profound feeling immediately emanating from his body, only to gradually disappear after a while. Wang Lin carefully observed for a long time, gritted his teeth, and proceeded with the third cycle. The third transformation took nearly an hour to complete. Upon successful completion, a powerful surge of golden immortal energy coursed through Wang Lin's body. He even felt a sharp, needle-like pain in his internal organs. The remaining immortal energy within him surged forward, and after gently passing through, the pain gradually subsided. At this moment, the immortal energy within Wang Lin's body, after the third transformation, was no longer white but emitted streaks of golden light, completely separate from other immortal energies, as if strictly divided into different levels. The original white immortal energy within Wang Lin's body immediately dispersed to the sides upon encountering the golden immortal energy, surprisingly not daring to approach too closely. Finally, Wang Lin concentrated this golden immortal energy in his left hand. The immortal energy in his body then circulated as before, but no immortal energy flowed into his left hand, as if it had been sealed off. The immortal power generated by the 9 transformations of the immortal refining technique is quite interesting, but I don't know how powerful it is. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Instead of using it immediately, he formed a hand seal with his right hand and performed the great teleportation technique. As silver light appeared around his body, he took 7 steps forward. The silver light disappeared, and Wang Lin's figure vanished in a flash. Outside the purple sect, a silver light flashed, and Wang Lin's disheveled figure emerged. After all, he had only tried it twice and hadn't fully adapted to the speed of continuous teleportation. After reappearing, Wang Lin flashed and flew towards the purple sect. At this moment, the night in the sky had slowly passed, and the horizon was gradually brightening, marking the beginning of a new day. Today was the day of Tianzi's sermon, and also the most anticipated day for cultivators from various sects on Tian Star and powerful cultivators from other cultivation planets who came to offer their congratulations. The Heavenly Fortune Master's sermons are a once-in-a-thousand-years event delivered continuously and without interruption. For those who come to listen, this is a great opportunity. On this Heavenly Fortune Star, since the Heavenly Fortune Master attained enlightenment, this has been an exceptionally significant event. People from all directions come to celebrate his birthday, including many powerful cultivators. Even they, by simply listening attentively to the Heavenly Fortune Master's sermon for a day, can gain enlightenment. Early this morning, the disciples of the 7 sects of the Heavenly Fortune sect red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple started with the red sect. All 7 disciples of the red sect wore red robes, embroidered with golden dragons on their cuffs and adorned with jade-like celestial halos around their waists. The 7 transformed into 7 streaks of rainbow light, flying out from the red sect and forming a horizontal line towards the main headquarters of the Heavenly Fortune sect in reverence. The crimson sects stirred slightly, followed closely by the orange sect. 7 members of the orange sect, all wearing orange robes, flew out in unison, bowing respectfully behind the crimson sect. Next came the yellow, green, blue, and cyan sects. Only after all 6 sects appeared did the purple sect appear, as the purple sect was still the weakest within the Heavenly Fortune sect. From above the purple sect, only 3 streaks of rainbow light shot out, stopping at the horizon. The eyes of the disciples of the other 6 sects were cold, not only revealing contempt, but also mockery. These gazes constantly shifted, like sharp swords piercing the bodies of the 3 people. Bai Wei's expression remained unchanged, obviously accustomed to this. As for the 4th senior sister, her face was filled with killing intent, biting her lower lip tightly, not saying a word. Wang Lin stood there, his expression calm, coldly sweeping his gaze across the 6 sects. The more he looked at the disciples of these 6 sects, the more fear he felt, his pupils involuntarily contracting. He recognized only 3 of the disciples from the 6 sects. One of them was Sima Ruifang, the 3rd-ranked disciple of the Blue Sect. This person's abilities had reached the great perfection of the nascent soul stage, just a little way from the peak stage. Another was a man surnamed Wang from the Green Sect. This man's face was icy cold, and when he looked back at Wang Lin, a look of indifference appeared in his eyes. His abilities surpassed Sima Ruifang, and he was already half a step into the peak stage. Besides these 2, there was another person Wang Lin found extremely familiar. This was the middle-aged man who had fought against Jihu in the immortal realm years ago, using the blood essence killing Che. Back then, his abilities hadn't reached the nascent soul stage, but now, looking back, he had reached the late nascent soul stage. This man, ranked 4th in the orange sect, was also looking at Wang Lin. The moment their eyes met, the man's eyes widened in surprise, as if he had recognized Wang Lin's identity, and a strange smile appeared on his lips. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Back then, he didn't know about the Heavenly Fortune sect, but now, having met him, he could confirm that this person must have been hiding his true abilities in the immortal realm. Although, looking back now, Wang Lin suspected that this person was still hiding his abilities. It was just that his own abilities were far inferior, so he couldn't see through them. Looking at the remaining disciples of the 6 sects, Wang Lin found that he couldn't discern the depth of ability of more than half of them. Even if he could discern a little, Wang Lin suspected that the other party was also hiding their abilities. This Heavenly Fortune sect truly has many powerful disciples. Except for the 3 of us from the Purple Sect, any other sect could dominate the Vermilion Bird Star. Even if the Vermilion Bird Sect had a title and seal, they probably wouldn't be able to defeat us. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, but his heart was filled with gloom. After all the disciples of the 7 sects arrived, they were followed closely by the ordinary disciples of the 7 sects. Not everyone among these disciples was qualified to listen to the teachings. Only those with exceptional intelligence or profound abilities were worthy of sitting nearby to hear. A group of ordinary disciples from the 7 sects flew out one after another, standing behind the disciples of the Heavenly Fortune sect, fanning out in a formation. Thus, the strength of the 2 sects was immediately apparent. Among the 7 sects, the Red sect had the strongest power, And even among its ordinary disciples, there were many powerful experts. The disciples of the purple sect standing behind Wang Lin were clearly far inferior. Seventh sister can surely see that our purple sect is declining. Wang Lin sighed, the voice of his fourth senior sister reaching his ears. He pondered for a moment, then nodded and transmitted a message. The purple sect is far inferior to the other 6 sects. Do you know why? His fourth senior sister sighed softly. Please tell me, Wang Lin said calmly. Because our purple sect has too much internal conflict. And most importantly, the title of Heavenly Fortune 7 Sons changes too frequently. Unlike other sects that have Heavenly Fortune 7 Sons for 1,000 years. Therefore, our purple sect has naturally gradually declined, no longer possessing the prestige it had when we had junior brother Sun Yun back then. His fourth senior sister sighed bitterly, saying nothing more. After the mediocre disciples of the 7 sects appeared, the next group, on the outermost circle, were those who had come to offer birthday greetings. When these people listened to the sermon, they made no distinction between social status or skill level. Anyone who came to celebrate the birthday could sit and listen. Gradually, more and more people appeared. Within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, it was almost densely packed with cultivators. Soon, the number of people increased so much that Wang Lin looked up, completely unable to discern how many there were. This was the first time Wang Lin had thoroughly understood the status of Tianyunzi and Tianyunstar thanks to this event. Not long after, at the main sect of Tianyun sect, a 7-colored light suddenly appeared, tracing a curve and stopping directly in the space above the disciples of the 7 sects. Immediately afterward, the figure of an old man in white robes slowly appeared, walking on the 7-colored light, step by step, slowly approaching. At this moment, the direct disciples of the 7 sects almost simultaneously bowed in reverence, shouting in unison, "Greetings, Master." Wang Lin also followed suit, respectfully shouting. Behind them, the numerous ordinary disciples also shouted in unison, like thunder resounding across the heavens and earth, shaking the space. "Greetings, Ancestor." Then, the remaining people who came to celebrate the birthday, some of them bowed loudly, while others merely nodded in greeting. The old man appeared relaxed, but in the time it takes to breathe 3 times, he had already reached the space above, looked at the surrounding cultivators, and calmly said with a smile, "I am Tianyunzi. Relying on my years of cultivation, I have gained some insight into the heavenly Tao. Today, I will share this insight with you fellow cultivators. My Tao is to follow the will of heaven. If my words are in the slightest error, please forgive me." He paused, looked up at the void, a look of doubt appearing on his face, and smiled, saying, "However, first, I invite the esteemed friend from the Cultivation Alliance to appear." As soon as Tianyunzi uttered these words, silence instantly fell over the surroundings. All the cultivators looked up at the space above Tianyunzi. Those with great divine abilities immediately focused their attention, staring intently, their eyes filled with fear. A long, seemingly ethereal laugh suddenly echoed across the tranquil sky. Within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, a golden beam of light suddenly appeared. As soon as it appeared, this beam of light, thousands of feet long, frantically converged towards a single point. Following the movement of the golden light, the entire sky resembled an enormous formation, and this formation was not static but rapidly moving, shrinking quickly. Finally, when the golden light converged in one place, the sun lost its color, the sky and earth all became dim and colorless, and the entire heaven and earth were left with only that single golden beam of light. A figure gradually emerged from the golden light. His long hair fluttered behind him, seemingly unaffected by wind. His physique was robust, and he stood there like a statue of a warrior. He was around 40 years old, with a resolute face and eyes that seemed to flash with lightning, causing those who looked at him to tremble. He stood there with immense majesty. Among the surrounding cultivators were many highly skilled individuals, but even these masters couldn't help but lower their heads when they met his gaze. He wore a purple robe, and a small 3-eyed weasel perched on his shoulder. The weasel's eyes swept across those below like lightning, revealing a cold demeanor. Tianyunzi's expression remained unchanged. After observing the middle-aged man, he smiled and said, "So it's Elder Son. Tianyunzi pays his respects to Elder Son. It is a great honor that Elder Son has personally attended my small birthday celebration." Tianyunzi spoke respectfully, but his body remained motionless, clearly just being polite. The middle-aged man didn't mind. After stepping out of the golden light, he casually potted his right hand behind him. Immediately, the golden light behind him dimmed, finally transforming into a golden flying sword, which he caught in his hand. "Oh, Taeyun, how could I not attend your 10,000-year birthday celebration?" The middle-aged man laughed heartily, waving his right hand, and the golden flying sword in his hand immediately flew towards Taeyunzi. "I arrived too hastily to prepare a proper gift. This flying sword is a mid-grade immortal artifact that I refined over 10,000 years. It has some power. I know you like 7 colors, and this flying sword can be considered a kind of golden color, which should suit your taste." Taeyunzi smiled, accepted the flying sword, and tossed it to the head of the Huang clan, saying, "Kun Peggy, this sword is for you." Hearing this, Kun Peggy of the Huang clan trembled, immediately accepting the sword. His heart was strangely moved, and he respectfully said, "Thank you, master." The man shook his head slightly, giving a wry smile. "Your temperament truly hasn't changed." Taeyunzi smiled, not responding, but his gaze swept across the surrounding cultivators, slowly saying, "My teachings are the teachings of the heavenly fortune Tao. My friends, if you disagree, you can offer your opinions here and let me verify them." Having said that, Taeyunzi waved his sleeve and sat down cross-legged. As soon as he sat down, a cloud appeared beneath him. The middle-aged man from the Cultivation Alliance also sat cross-legged to one side, intently watching Taeyunzi as he prepared to listen to the sermon. The three-eyed weasel on his shoulder suddenly flashed, flying off with a speed countless times faster than lightning, disappearing in an instant. Wang Lin's pupils contracted. This speed could probably only be matched by a fully wielded curved saber. He was deep in thought when suddenly his shoulder felt heavy. He saw the three-eyed weasel had somehow appeared on his shoulder. Wang Lin turned his head to look, and the weasel was also looking at him. It was a small, three-eyed bird, entirely purple, with only its 3 eyes emitting a gloomy light. It perched on Wang Lin's shoulder, glancing at him as if assessing him, a strange light in its eyes, staring at him without moving. Wang Lin looked at the bird. He had seen this bird at Elder Sun's place in the Cultivation Alliance and found it somewhat familiar. Now, looking closer, especially at its 3 eyes, he observed it intently. The 3 eyes of this bird seemed to have a bright spot within them, easily captivating anyone who looked at it. Star Silver Eagle, a young star silver eagle. Wang Lin's eyes widened in surprise, finally recognizing the bird. In the ancient god Tut's inherited memories, there was a passage about this bird, a peculiar creature in the heavens and earth. After reaching maturity, it could transform into anything in the world, even into a human form, without any difference. It was the best material for creating puppets with divine abilities. When young, this bird didn't have much attack power, but its speed was unimaginable. This species loved spirit stones. Only by devouring them could it gradually grow. In the ancient god Tut's memory, there were many star silver eagles, using their inner cores when young to forge magical artifacts and inscribing teleportation formations on the outside. Their speed would reach unbelievable levels. However, this is a very long time ago. Thousands of years have passed, and although this bird species has not become extinct, its numbers are no longer very large. In the era of the ancient gods, the star silver eagle was the best pet. Its speed was particularly favored by the ancient gods, and it also greatly enjoyed the aura of the ancient gods when they were young, often approaching them without needing any deliberate effort. Being in the same place as the ancient gods when they were young was extremely beneficial to the star silver eagle. As the ancient gods matured, the star silver eagle could absorb a large amount of spiritual power, allowing it to grow faster. This little eagle before him, with its 3 eyes emitting a jade-like light, hadn't yet reached the level of concealing its gaze. It was likely less than 1,000 years old. Looking at this bird, Wang Lin's heart stirred. He reached into his storage bag with his left hand, and a high-grade spirit stone appeared, which he placed beside its beak. The eagle didn't even glance at the spirit stone, staring intently at Wang Lin with a look of bewilderment. Then its body flashed, disappearing from Wang Lin's shoulder. Wang Lin stroked his chin. This bird obviously didn't value the spirit stone in his hand. It stared at him, perhaps because it sensed the aura of an ancient god on him. Although Wang Lin also possessed the aura of an ancient god, it was extremely weak. This was because a small amount had been left behind when he merged with his true form, and over time, it would gradually disappear. This purple eagle followed that aura, but was extremely disappointed because it found the aura to faint. Although it didn't know what this aura was, the moment it sensed it, it felt incredibly comfortable. This was the first time it had experienced such a feeling since birth. Putting away the spirit stone, Wang Lin's eyes flashed. A piece of immortal jade appeared in his hand. As soon as the immortal jade appeared, a purple light flashed, and Wang Lin saw that the immortal jade in his left hand had disappeared. A smile flickered in his eyes as he produced another immortal jade. This time, he focused all his attention on observing it, but only saw a flash of purple light. The speed of the purple eagle was unimaginable. After snatching the immortal jade from Wang Lin's hand and flying high, it didn't stop at all, directly swallowing the immortal jade into its mouth and disappearing in a flash. When the purple eagle reappeared, it was perched on Elder Sun's shoulder, its mouth still holding the immortal jade, chewing and swallowing with a crunching sound. Its eyes were fixed on Wang Lin's storage bag, seemingly very attentive. Elder Sun obviously noticed this scene and smiled, nodding to Wang Lin. Tia Yunzi, sitting cross-legged on the cloud wall, had already begun his sermon. Heavenly techniques are the 9-9 returning to the origin. I dare not say I have explored all divine abilities since I began cultivating, but I have understood a little about the origin of these divine abilities. Cultivating the Tao, what does this word cultivation mean? Where is this Tao, condensing Chad, foundation establishment, core formation, nascent soul transformation into a divine being, soul transformation, and reaching the peak? To be honest, I consider these all to be part of the word cultivation. Hearing this, Wang Lin immediately focused his attention, looking at Tia Yunzi. Since he began cultivating, everything he had done was through his own efforts. His cultivation methods were relatively chaotic, and what he lacked most was these profound insights. After reaching the peak comes the duality of reality and illusion, and the 3 stages of shattered nirvana. At this point, almost all the fellow cultivators here will have to stop, unable to advance further. That is the 2nd stage of cultivation. I thought this 2nd stage was a transitional step. A cultivator only needed to cultivate their primordial spirit, and completing this transitional step would allow them to advance further. Unfortunately, even I still cannot fully understand it. It seems that in the netherworld, there is a force disrupting everything, seemingly close to grasping it only to be cut off again. The voice of Tia Yunzi slowly spread in all directions, explaining his insights on cultivation. Silence reigned all around. Even the elders from the Cultivation Alliance were silent, their eyes showing helplessness. Senior Tia Yunzi, don't you know what the 3rd step of cultivation is? Someone in the crowd asked in a low voice. This person was dressed entirely in black, and within a 10-jong radius of him, not a single cultivator could be seen. A fierce aura emanated from his body. A vicious scar ran across his face, from his face down to his neck. Tia Yunzi glanced at this person and said, "This 3rd step is the meaning of the word Tao. There are countless paths to cultivation, but they all lead to seeking this Tao. If one achieves it, they will undoubtedly reach unimaginable heights. However, how to achieve it? I, the old man, do not know. What I'm talking about is destiny. If destiny arrives, then everything will naturally succeed. If destiny hasn't arrived, then everything will turn to dust, and thousands of years of cultivation will be for nothing. Cultivation is divided into 3 steps, and I haven't even completed the 1st step yet. The path ahead is even more arduous and difficult. Cultivation is defying heaven. This is not false. If even the Heavenly Destiny Master doesn't know how to take the 3rd step, then does this 3rd step truly exist in this world?" The Heavenly Destiny Master's gaze swept over Wang Lin. And at that moment, Wang Lin also looked up, their eyes meeting. Seemingly seeing through Wang Lin's inner thoughts, the Heavenly Destiny Master smiled kindly and said to Wang Lin, "Do you have any questions?" Upon hearing this, the cultivators all around immediately focused their attention on Wang Lin. Moreover, even the disciples of the other 6 sects turned to look at him. It's important to know that in this situation, receiving guidance from one's master personally is a great honor. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He clasped his hands respectfully towards Tia Yunzi and said, "Master, there are indeed some things I don't understand." Tia Yunzi stroked his silver beard, nodded, and smiled, saying, "Tell me." "Regarding the cultivation of the Tao, I have some questions." We often talk about cultivating immortality, cultivating the Tao, and cultivating the true Tao. So, Master, how do you explain what cultivating the Tao, cultivating immortality, and cultivating the true Tao are? These two terms couldn't have appeared out of nowhere, could they? Tia Yunzi smiled, his eyes showing admiration. At this moment, even Elder Sun from the Cultivation Alliance had a smile on his lips, looking at Wang Lin meaningfully. Immortals are no more. Cultivating immortality was originally a term from ancient times. At that time, the immortal realm was the sacred land of cultivators. That's why the term cultivating immortality exists. True Tao, what does that mean? True Tao is the true nature of everything. The immortal realm is gone, and cultivators are like rootless trees. Now, besides cultivation, there is only cultivation. True cultivation is simply the word cultivation. But today, immortality and enlightenment have become a thing of the past. What we are currently seeking is the Tao. But this Tao is not the heavenly Tao. Tia Yunzi's voice was slow and deliberate, pausing briefly at this point. The surrounding cultivators immediately began to debate. Those who cultivate the Tao cultivate not the heavenly Tao. This statement sparked a heated argument. It seemed somewhat contradictory to Tia Yunzi's previous words. Doubt welled up in the hearts of the cultivators. However, those cultivators with great supernatural abilities maintained their composure, their eyes reflecting a sense of understanding. They understood Tia Yunzi's words, but they usually kept such matters secret, not speaking them aloud. Elder Sun, from the Cultivation Alliance, raised his eyebrows, cleared his throat, and looked at Tia Yunzi. Tia Yunzi smiled and slowly said, "Speaking of the Tao of cultivation, it refers to the method of cultivation. Therefore, the Tao in the third step I've been searching for is a different interpretation of the Tao of cultivation. Wang Lin, do you have any doubts?" Wang Lin's eyes showed a thoughtful expression, and after a moment, he shook his head and said, "The disciple doubts whether this third step truly exists." Tia Yunzi sighed softly, a rare look of nostalgia appearing in his eyes, and slowly said, 3,000 years ago, I was just like you, still not believing that the third step I just mentioned existed in this world. Until I met him, Elder Sun obviously knew who he was. Upon hearing this, his face turned grim, and his eyes showed a look of reminiscence, but also a great deal of fear. As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding cultivators fell into an unusual silence. Only those cultivators with great supernatural abilities showed a strange glint in their eyes. Senior Tia Yunzi, who is that person? Old friend Tia Yunzi, could you explain clearly? At first, only a few people asked, but later more and more, all turning to Tia Yunzi to inquire about him. Enough, Tia Yunzi, don't mention him anymore. Elder Sun's face darkened, and he said in a low voice. Tia Yunzi looked at Elder Sun and smiled, saying, "Actually, I am very fortunate to have met him in this lifetime. This person has definitely entered the third stage." Wang Lin's eyes suddenly flashed, and the people around him also stared at Tia Yunzi, waiting for his next words. Elder Sun was silent for a moment, sighed, and waved his hand, saying, "Well, Tia Yunzi, your temperament is always so eccentric. Just say whatever you have to say." Tia Yunzi smiled and said, "Over countless years, the Cultivation Alliance has only suffered once at the hands of this person. This is nothing unusual, except that he is the only person I have ever known in my life who has reached the third stage. Unfortunately, he is like a hibiscus flower, blooming and fading quickly, leaving no trace behind." Tia Yunzi's lecture continued. However, the vast majority of cultivators focused their attention on the person Tia Yunzi referred to as him. But Tia Yunzi said no more. The lecture lasted 3 days. After 3 days, the lecture concluded. Wang Lin listened silently, gradually gaining some understanding. Tia Yunzi smiled faintly and spoke slowly. As soon as Tia Yunzi finished speaking, those around him immediately focused their attention. Almost everyone, even some cultivators with great divine abilities, were not far behind Tia Yunzi, but their eyes gleamed as they carefully observed. It's important to know that immortal techniques are rare, and mid-grade immortal techniques are even rarer. The reason so many people came to Tia Yunzi's birthday celebration, besides his fame and widespread connections and his sermon, was because after the sermon, Tia Yunzi would demonstrate a new immortal technique that would captivate all the cultivators. Wang Lin took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on Tia Yunzi. He had never seen an immortal technique in his life. The highest he had witnessed was forbidden techniques, imitations of low-grade immortal techniques. The power of the forbidden's technique was already immense, and Wang Lin couldn't even imagine how powerful immortal arts truly were. Just as everyone was intently watching Tie Yunzi, waiting for him to unleash a mid-grade immortal technique, a series of lightning strikes suddenly erupted from the distant horizon. Countless streaks of sword light, like countless shooting stars, shot forth. The cultivators with great divine abilities present had already noticed this phenomenon, and their gazes were now calm as they looked on. The sword light from the horizon was unimaginably numerous, seemingly endless. Describing it as covering the sky and the sun wouldn't be an exaggeration. Each streak of sword light simultaneously emitted a howling sound, the rumbling echoing far and wide. Wang Lin had only witnessed this scene once in his life, in the immortal realm, after the white-robed woman in the pagoda awakened and summoned the sword spirits of the sword immortal. The entire immortal realm seemed to be enveloped in swords. Tie Yunzi's expression remained unchanged as he gazed into the distance. At this moment, countless flying swords flew frantically towards him, each wave of cold sword energy like a sharp blade. Rushing straight towards this direction, those cultivators with insufficient cultivation dared not obstruct the front, quickly scattering to create a very wide passage. "Old man Taeyun, how could I not come to your birthday celebration?" A resolute voice suddenly echoed through the heavens and earth. At the same time, the flying swords from afar moved rapidly, separating simultaneously, and an old man in a green robe appeared. This old man's white beard fluttered automatically, and although he was very thin, he exuded an aura of divine power. Especially behind him were four illusory sword shadows, each flashing. A thunderous sound would resound from the void. At his feet was a snake-shaped treasure sword, one overflowing with a fierce aura. This sword was stained with blood, and it was unknown what method the sword venerable Ling Tianhu had used to refine it, but it unexpectedly shocked those who saw it. One snake-shaped treasure sword, a treasure sword shaped like a snake. Many cultivators around immediately turned pale and retreated. Wang Lin stared at the snake-shaped treasure sword. It was the second sword of the martial arts that Ling Tianhu had stolen in the immortal realm back then. "Sword venerable Ling Tianhu." From the surrounding cultivators, someone exclaimed. Sword venerable Ling Tianhu, the sect master of the Great Luo Sword Sect, a sect on Tianyun Star whose individual cultivation and sect strength were almost equivalent to Tianyun sect, had appeared. Sword venerable Ling Tianhu clasped his hands together, revealing a gloomy expression. Behind him were countless flying swords, densely spread across the sky, emitting a buzzing sound of swords. "Disciples, come out and pay your respects to Senior Tianyunzi." Sword venerable Ling Tianhu roared. As soon as his words left his lips, the flying swords behind him emitted an even louder clang. Finally, a series of bangs resounded. One by one, the flying swords instantly transformed into mist. At this moment, behind Ling Tianhu, the sky was filled with mist, almost obscuring half the sky, causing the heavens and earth to change color. Simultaneously, a series of icy gazes gradually emerged from within the mist. Finally, the mist dissipated, and behind Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu, countless disciples appeared, their feet treading on flying swords. These disciples were all dressed in black, each carrying a sword with an ancient-style scabbard on their backs. Their eyes, like lightning, stared towards Tie Yunzi. A dense crowd. Wang Lin's gaze revealed that behind Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu, there were probably no fewer than 10,000 disciples. Haha, quite a few old friends are here. "Ah, elder son, I didn't expect you to come too." Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu's gaze swept across the room, finally settling on elder son. Elder son smiled slightly and said, "How could I not come to the birthday celebration of my esteemed friend Tie Yun?" Ling Tianhu laughed heartily, looking towards Tie Yunzi and saying, "Tie Yun, what's wrong? Aren't you welcoming me?" Tie Yunzi's expression remained unchanged, and he smiled, saying, "Well, you've arrived at just the right time today. I'll use you as the subject to perform my immortal technique, so that you fellow Taoists can take a look, all right?" Ling Tianhu's eyes turned cold, and he smiled, saying, "That's exactly what I intended." Tie Yunzi smiled slightly, raised his right hand to form a hand seal, and slowly said, "Fellow Taoists, the immortal technique I will perform today is a mid-grade immortal technique. This immortal technique is called the Immortal Guiding Technique, which I unintentionally obtained from a deserted planet. Through my research, I discovered that people from the immortal realm used it to transport our cultivators to the immortal realm back then. Once unleashed, a great divine power will appear. I urge all fellow Taoists to pay attention. Sword Venerable Ling Jian, who snorted coldly, his eyes revealing a chilling glint as he stared at Tia Yunzi. Tia Yunzi smiled, his hand forming a hand seal, and immediately a red light materialized from his hand. As Tia Yunzi raised his left hand and formed a hand seal, the red light intensified. Tia Yunzi's demeanor remained unchanged. He lightly touched the void with both hands, and immediately a crimson light shot out from his hands, soaring straight into the sky. Mid-grade immortal guiding technique. Tia Yunzi's voice seemed to emanate from the void. From the middle of the sky, a sudden explosion resounded, and the entire sky instantly turned red. Within this crimson expanse, the clouds swirled, as if an enraged dragon were roaring, and thunder suddenly erupted. At that moment, bolts of lightning pierced through the clouds, like tens of thousands of silver snakes, wildly spreading in all directions. The air was now like a raging sea, a silent, unseen divine power descending from the heavens. Under this divine power, a large number of the surrounding cultivators immediately turned pale, descending from the air and sitting cross-legged. Wang Lin looked up at the sky, his immortal power gradually becoming chaotic. It seemed as if some mysterious force in the air was guiding him, causing his body to tremble uncontrollably. Only within his left arm did the three transformation golden immortal power quietly circulate. Wang Lin's heart stirred, and he immediately released the three transformation golden immortal power from his left arm, circulating it throughout his body. He tried his best to control this golden immortal power so that it wouldn't come into contact with the immortal power already present in his body and transform into one another. After the golden immortal power had circulated once, Wang Lin's trembling body gradually calmed down. Finally, although his face was still slightly pale, he was able to stand upright. As for Bai Wei, she persevered a little longer, then sighed softly, her body falling back to the ground. Of the entire purple sect, except for Wang Lin, only the fourth senior sister remained calm, gazing at the sky. Apart from the two of them, the ordinary disciples of the purple sect had long since given up and descended from midair. Not only the purple sect, but also the other 6 sects. The vast majority of ordinary disciples had already descended. Only those with profound cultivation could barely stand upright. However, among the disciples of Tia Yunzi and the other 6 sects, surprisingly, not a single one descended from midair. They all remained standing. Although their complexions were slightly pale like Wang Lin's, they were still persevering. Wang Lin's complexion, after the golden immortal power circulated 3 times, returned to normal. His fourth senior sister glanced at Wang Lin meaningfully, but said nothing. Tia Yunzi's eyes showed a calm light, his right hand pointing towards Ling Jianhu from a distance. But immediately, his right hand shifted slightly and upon descending, it pointed behind Ling Jianhu at the disciples riding on their flying swords. Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu's face darkened. His body moved slightly, wanting to move forward. But at this moment, Tia Yunzi smiled and uttered, "Guidance?" As soon as these words were spoken, a series of thunderous explosions erupted from the clouds in the sky. The entire sky seemed to be torn open by invisible hands, revealing a vast, empty space. Waves of 7-colored light suddenly descended from the sky, enveloping all the disciples behind Ling Jianhu. The icy expressions of the Great Luo Sword Sect disciples vanished, replaced by a dazed look. Their bodies, beyond their control, slowly floated towards the sky above, where the 7-colored light emanated. Ling Jianhu let out a loud shout, his body moved slightly, and the serpent-shaped flying sword beneath his feet shot straight up into the sky like lightning. Tia Yunzi smiled slightly, his right hand grasping at the void, and the speed of the serpent-shaped flying sword immediately slowed down, emitting a fierce, struggling, and terrified sword cry. A pink light instantly appeared above the forehead of Sword Venerable Ling Jianhu. This light flashed, suddenly flying out from his forehead, hovering in midair, and in a flash transformed into a huge killing beast. This beast was extremely majestic, its 4 legs planted firmly on the ground, its enormous head staring intently at Tia Yunzi. It roared and charged straight forward. The moment the killing beast appeared, a similar roar emanated from the soul banner within Wang Lin's primordial spirit. The roar from within the soul banner penetrated the banner, swirling around within Wang Lin's primordial spirit. Although the sound hadn't yet reached his body, the killing beast, which was attacking Tia Yunzi, seemed to have heard it. Its body suddenly trembled, and it unexpectedly stopped. Its enormous head spun around, its ferocious eyes revealing an unimaginable gleam, constantly scanning the surrounding crowd. However, the moment the roar from the soul banner sounded, Wang Lin had already activated the soul banner, concealing all the remaining souls. At this point, the killing beast's search was completely ineffective. Sword Venerable Ling Jian, who raised his eyebrows. At this moment, the killing beast suddenly stopped, its serpent-shaped immortal sword having been seized by Tianzi in the void, causing the mid-grade immortal technique in midair to unleash its full power. 7 colored light burst forth from the empty space in the sky. Simultaneously, sounds like heavenly music slowly echoed as the clouds rubbed against each other in the air. A group of strange illusory figures suddenly appeared, swirling in the air. In the center stood a figure clad in a golden robe radiating an overwhelming immortal aura. Though only an illusion, a divine power emanated from him. He stood in midair, his gaze fixed on the disciples of the Great Lua Sword Sect, yet he remained silent. But then, a majestic voice slowly echoed throughout the heavens and earth. I am the eternal illusory being, the messenger of the immortal realm, here to open the way for the cultivators of the lower realm. This voice seemed to be repeated countless times. After the illusory figure finished speaking, a giant hand pressed down with a palm strike. Immediately, the void where more than 10,000 disciples of the Great Lua Sword Sect were located flickered, and a golden light instantly sealed off the entire area. This scene terrified all the cultivators who had come to celebrate the birthday. Among them, those cultivators with some great divine abilities showed a look of dread in their eyes. If the immortal realm has been destroyed, why can this immortal guiding technique still guide immortal lords to descend? If these people are truly guided away, where will they go? Will they go to the shattered immortal realm? Or to a place where no cultivators have ever entered? Countless questions arose in the hearts of most of these cultivators. Along with that, in the hearts of these cultivators, Tianzi immediately became extremely mysterious. This guiding technique is a mid-grade immortal technique. How could Tianzi find it in a desolate cultivation planet? There must be something wrong. Just as these cultivators were speculating amongst themselves, the Sword Venerable Ling Tian, whose eyes instantly turned extremely gloomy, and he coldly said, Old man Tian, I brought my disciple to congratulate you on your birthday, but you disregarded your status and directly attacked my disciple. What do you mean by this? He flicked his right hand, and the snake-shaped immortal sword instantly flashed, flying back to his side from midair. He simply didn't want to stop him, but wanted to see what Tianzi intended to do today. Tianzi's expression remained unchanged, and he smiled and said, Isn't it a good thing to let your disciple experience a bit of the immortal realm of yesteryear? While the two were talking, the disciples of the Great Lua Sword Sect couldn't control themselves and one by one flew up and disappeared into the empty space in midair. Throughout, Sword Venerable Ling Tian, whose face remained gloomy, and he made no move, only coldly staring at Tianzi, waiting for the last disciple of the Great Lua Sword Sect to disappear into the empty void in the sky. The strangeness in the air slowly dissipated, restoring normalcy. Tianzi looked up at the sky and calmly said, Although my mid-grade immortal technique lacks offensive power, after the immortal realm ceases to exist, it can still transport people away. Where they go, I don't know. You, Sword Venerable Ling Tian, who stared at Tianzi, his expression growing even more somber. Tianzi looked at Ling Tianhu and said, Sword Venerable, don't be hasty. 3 days from now, your disciples from the Great Lua Sword Sect will return. At that time, I also want to borrow a few of them to ask where they went and what they saw. Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu remained silent for a moment, not saying a word. He knew in his heart that with Tianzi's status, he absolutely could not play such a trick on his disciples in front of so many fellow Taoists. If that were true, Tianzi would lose all face. If he said 3 days, then it would definitely be 3 days. Tianzi's actions today were simply a humiliation. At this moment, among the surrounding cultivators, some intelligent ones looked towards the sky as if deep in thought. Wang Lin raised his head and gazed at the sky, becoming pensive. In his eyes, this mid-grade immortal technique was extremely miraculous. Simply seeing it once was impossible to learn, but it had given him a deeper understanding of immortal techniques. This immortal technique is formed from nothingness, but it wasn't created by Tianzi. In reality, it exists eternally. As long as one has the incantation and method and possesses the necessary qualifications, they can perform it anywhere, directly transporting the person they wish to guide to the immortal realm. After performing the immortal guiding technique, Tianzi didn't declare the end of his sermon. His eyes flashed with a strange light as he slowly said, "This time, besides my 10,000-year birthday celebration, there's another matter I wish to witness. I, Tianzi, have 7 lineages of disciples, and only to the Huang lineage and the Z lineage don't have anyone holding the title of Tianyun 7 Sons. Today is the day when someone from these 2 lineages will bear the title of Tianyun 7 Sons." Upon hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding cultivators immediately turned towards the disciples of the Huang and Z lineages. However, the vast majority of people focused their attention on the imperial lineage, while the purple lineage received little attention. After all, almost everyone knew that the purple lineage was too weak. The imperial lineage had 6 members. 30 years ago, the 3rd son attained the title of Heavenly Fortune 7 Sons, but he mysteriously disappeared after venturing into outer space, and there has been no news of him since. At this moment, the 6 disciples of the imperial lineage all had calm expressions, showing no sign of agitation. Among them, a woman standing at the back stepped forward, looked towards Tianzi, and respectfully said, "I withdraw," as soon as she spoke. Others in the imperial lineage began to publicly withdraw. Finally, only 2 remained. Of these 2, only Wang Lin had a slight impression of one of them, Kun Pengyi, the one who had just received a mid-grade immortal artifact from Tianzi. Beside Kun Pengyi was an old man. At first glance, this man's face was wrinkled and his appearance was unsightly. Even though he wore yellow robes, he still looked like an ordinary old man. He was the leader of the imperial lineage, Yan Tang. He had been one of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons for over 800 years, but the title was ultimately usurped by the 3rd son. However, this man truly had no desire to compete. He spent his days cultivating quite leisurely. At this moment, he looked towards Tianzi, stepped forward respectfully, and said, "Master, I also give up. The title of Heavenly Fortune Son of our imperial lineage is only suitable for the 2nd disciple who has just obtained the immortal artifact from you." Tianzi gave Yan Tang a profound look. Yan Tang quickly bowed his head, saying nothing. "Kun Pengzi," Tianzi softly called out. "Yes, disciple." Kun Pengzi's body trembled, and he immediately stepped forward a few steps, respectfully standing upright. "You are the one who has earned the title of Heavenly Fortune Son of the imperial lineage. If you can maintain it for 1,000 years, I will pass on to you a complete set of low-grade immortal techniques. The 7 Heavenly Fortune disciples hold significant status. They are a symbol of our Heavenly Fortune sect's prestige and truly bear the title of disciples of my Heavenly Fortune Master. Can you handle this?" The voice of Tianzi was full of majesty. The surrounding cultivators showed no problem, but the corner of Sword Venerable Ling Tian, whose mouth revealed a hint of disdain. As if muttering to himself, the 7 sons of Tianyun HMPH Kun Pengyi knelt down in midair, bowing to Tianzi, and said in a deep voice, "Your disciple will engrave your teachings in my heart." Tianzi nodded, his right hand pointing at his forehead. Immediately, a golden light rose from his face, and in Tianzi's eyes, the golden light shone extremely brightly. After a while, a golden crystal flew out from his forehead and stopped in his palm. This object is probably familiar to you. It is the mark of the title of the 7 sons of Tianyun. You should go into seclusion to feel it. When you come out, I will pass on to you a life-saving magical artifact." Kun Pengyi took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement in his heart. Although he had known for a long time that he would be one of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons of the imperial lineage, he still felt like he was dreaming. In fact, he understood that each person in the imperial lineage possessed considerable cultivation, and moreover, they were skilled at concealing their true cultivation. Unless they truly engaged in combat, it was absolutely impossible to guess their true cultivation level from the outside. Therefore, if a competition were to occur, Kun Pengyi would have no way of completely guaranteeing victory. Most importantly, there was the existence of his senior brother in the imperial lineage. Kun Pengyi had followed his master for over 2,000 years, but his senior brother had already existed when he became his disciple. He didn't know exactly how long his senior brother had been with his master. However, while his senior brother might be a bit eccentric and reluctant to interact with others, he didn't compete in worldly affairs. And he had no desire to participate in the competition for the title of 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons. Wang Lin watched silently from the side. His gaze was mainly fixed on Yan Tang. But what truly struck Wang Lin as strange was that after the golden crystal appeared on Tia Yunzi's forehead, Yan Tang's eyes narrowed slightly. However, his gaze immediately returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. If Wang Lin hadn't been watching intently, he wouldn't have noticed this detail. Perhaps because he had been watching for too long, Yan Tang raised his head and glanced at him, a slight smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Bai Wei nodded respectfully and said, "The disciple withdraws." Fourth senior sister, Zhao Shenmeng, narrowed her eyes, looked at Wang Lin, and lowered her voice, saying, "Seventh senior sister, if I also withdraw, then your obtaining this title would be too easy. Let's have a battle today." Wang Lin recalled Yan Tang's earlier fearful expression, and a hint of hesitation arose in his heart. The disciple withdraws. Wang Lin took a deep breath and looked at Tia Yunzi. Tia Yunzi suddenly froze. This kind of expression was almost the first time Wang Lin had seen it on him. Tia Yunzi raised his eyebrows and looked at Wang Lin, saying in a low voice, "Why did you give up?" The calm expression on Zhao Shenmeng's face also disappeared, revealing a strange hint. She looked at Wang Lin in silence. In Wang Lin's mind, the fearful look in Yan Tang's eyes still hadn't dissipated. Hearing Tia Yunzi's question, he pondered for a moment and said, "My cultivation is insufficient." "I couldn't compete with fourth senior sister Wang Lin," Tia Yunzi interrupted Wang Lin, giving him a deep look, and said in a low voice, "Your master hopes you will try once. My disciples are not weaklings. Don't let outsiders mislead you and give rise to impure thoughts. Just remember, do everything according to your heart. I give you half an incense stick's time. You need to consider carefully. If you still give up, I won't persuade you any further." Tia Yunzi frowned, and after speaking, his gaze rested on the leader of the Huang lineage. A sinister glint flashed in his eyes and then disappeared. Yan Tang, noticing his master's gaze, immediately trembled and quickly bowed his head. Tia Yunzi's words, upon reaching the ears of the disciples of the other 6 lineages, caused them to turn their attention to Wang Lin. Their eyes were mostly filled with astonishment, and they looked again closely. Because in their minds, it was extremely rare for a master to offer advice. Except for Sun Yan of the Z lineage back then, Wang Lin was the second. Half an incense stick's time gradually passed. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly flashed as he looked towards Tia Yunzi, respectfully clasping his hands and saying, "The disciple will compete once." Tia Yunzi's eyes showed joy, and he nodded, saying, "Good." Zhao Shenmeng looked at Wang Lin, lowered her voice, and said, "Seventh brother, begin." After saying that, her body moved slightly, like a phoenix dancing and a butterfly fluttering, gliding backward, creating a distance of more than 10 meters from Wang Lin. At this moment, her jade hand raised, and she pointed forward with a hand seal. Immediately, countless purple starlight suddenly appeared from the void, swirling around her body and not leaving. Wang Lin stared at these starlight points. On Taoyuan Star, during battles, it seemed that magical artifacts were rarely used. Attacks were mainly based on divine abilities and spells. Up to today, although he hadn't fought many people, no matter who it was, they all used divine abilities and spells as their primary means of attack. All that could be seen were swirling spakes of light around Zhao Shenmeng, flashing under her fingertips, suddenly converging on her fingertip. Almost instantly, her entire right hand was enveloped in a deep purple hue. Even her features were accentuated by the purple, creating a strange sensation. "Seventh brother, you still don't understand your senior sister's path. Today, I will tell you, my path is the path of demonic shadows. All the divine abilities in this world, as long as your cultivation level doesn't surpass mine, can be observed once. Although I can't fully replicate them, I can at least imitate a part of them. This technique is something I created by imitating your demonic transformation finger. I call it the purple demonic hand." After speaking, Zhao Shenmeng lightly tapped the void in front of her with her right hand. Immediately, a purple light flashed around her hand and shot out. As it left her hand, it carried a howling sound, quickly rushing towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he suddenly retreated backward. At the same time, he raised his right index finger, and the immortal power in his body circulated. Suddenly, a purple flame appeared above his fingertip. The moment the flame appeared, an overwhelming demonic aura roared out, enveloping everything. "Is this person suitable for my destiny? Years ago, he left me a saying, "My Tao is the Tao of heavenly destiny. Only by finding someone suitable for my destiny can I advance to the third step." Heavenly Destiny Master's expression remained unchanged, intently watching Wang Lin's right index finger. If it is this person, then I, Heavenly Destiny Master, will spare no expense to give it a try. Since encountering him, over the past 30,000 years, I have failed countless times. Originally, I had a large number of disciples, but now I have lost more than half of them. Was what I did right or wrong? Cha Yunzi looked at Wang Lin, a hint of despair in his eyes. Demon transformation finger. Wang Lin's gaze was serious as he murmured softly. A purple flame on the tip of his index finger suddenly flashed and shot forward, colliding with Zhao Xinmeng's purple demon hand. The purple light completely merged into the purple point, and with a resounding bang, it immediately surged out wildly. A strange transformation continuously took place inside. This transformation collapsed in just a few moments. A purple halo of light emanated from within, transforming into a surge of demonic energy that scattered wildly. The demonic power contained within the halo was several times higher than the demonic power within Wang Lin's demon transformation finger. Obviously, after undergoing that strange transformation, it had reversed and been produced. Zhao Xinmeng immediately retreated, her right hand patting her storage bag. A bead appeared in her hand, her eyes revealing a cunning expression, and she softly uttered, "Absorb." As soon as these words were spoken, the demonic power spreading in all directions suddenly stopped, then, with extreme speed, frantically rushed towards the bead in Zhao Xinmeng's hand. In an instant, it was completely absorbed by the bead. The originally pure white, dust-free bead had turned pitch black, as if harboring vengeful spirits within, constantly emitting waves of chilling energy. Seventh brother, I won't compete with you for the title of Heavenly Fortune Seven Sons, but this transformed demonic power must belong to me. Zhao Xinmeng held the bead and smiled slightly. The moment Wang Lin spoke, the dense black demonic energy within the bead in Zhao Xinmeng's hand instantly dissipated, as if it had never existed. The bead, which had been pitch black, quickly turned white again. This demonic power wasn't true demonic power, but rather a phantom energy transformed by Wang Lin using immortal power. Therefore, he could do whatever he pleased. A slight thought could cause it to collapse. This kind of reversed immortal power couldn't be given to others. Otherwise, under their research, they could naturally discover the true method of cultivating the demonic transformation finger. Wang Lin had promised Situ Nan that these three killing moves absolutely could not be revealed. Zhao Xinmeng's expression darkened, her delicate eyebrows furrowed, and she looked at the bead in her hand, which immediately shattered. She raised her head and looked at Wang Lin, lowering her voice. "Seventh sister, I only want a trace of your demonic power. If you give it to me, I will immediately give up and leave." Otherwise, Wang Lin looked at Zhao Xinmeng. He and she had some connection, but overall, neither owed the other anything. Hearing this, Wang Lin calmly said, "Fourth sister, I can't help with this." Zhao Xinmeng looked at Wang Lin, then raised her right hand, softly uttering, "Nine-turn immortal refining technique." As soon as she spoke, a vast golden light surged out from Zhao Xinmeng's body. Along with that, her face was also enveloped in golden light, giving her a strange appearance. Her right hand now seemed to be made of metal, emitting bursts of golden light. A stream of immortal power with a metal attribute slowly condensed from her right hand, forming a golden vortex that slowly rotated above it. 1 rotation, 2 rotations, 3 rotations, 4 rotations, 5 rotations. After a total of 5 rotations, the golden vortex paused briefly, then reversed direction. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He raised his left hand, and the 3-turn golden immortal power held in his hand suddenly condensed in his palm. A similar vortex silently appeared in Wang Lin's left hand, slowly rotating. 1 rotation, 2 rotations, 3 rotations. A hint of surprise flashed in Zhao Xinmeng's eyes. She had only given Wang Lin the 9-turn immortal refining technique a few days ago, but unexpectedly, in such a short time, he had already cultivated 3-turn power. This exceeded her imagination. "Seventh brother, 3-turn power is useless against me." Zhao Xinmeng withdrew the surprise from her eyes and said calmly. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. The immortal power in his body suddenly circulated, and a stream of it merged into the 3-turn golden immortal power through his left hand. Suddenly, the 3rd transformation of the power surged, unexpectedly rotating another full circle. Now it's the fourth transformation. Wang Lin said, and a stream of immortal power flew out from his body, entering his left hand. The fourth transformation of the golden immortal power had transformed again. Now it's the fifth transformation. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, but he was experiencing immense pain. The golden immortal power in his left hand was somewhat uncontrollable. However, Wang Lin's nonchalant demeanor was undetectable to Zhao Xinmeng. After all, everything that had happened on the Vermilion Bird Star was something that a disciple of a prestigious orthodox sect like Zhao Xinmeng had never experienced before. At this moment, in Zhao Xinmeng's eyes, Wang Lin's expression remained normal, his face calm and composed, showing no sign of anything amiss. Wang Lin smiled slightly, looking at Zhao Xinmeng, and said, "Would you like to see my sixth transformation of the golden immortal power?" Zhao Xinmeng's expression darkened as she looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "Even if you truly possess six-turn power, you're no match for me." Wang Lin laughed loudly, patting his storage bag with his right hand. Immediately, the giant demon clan's battle axe transformed into a black beam of light and shot out, directly floating in the void. At the same time, the beast-taming scroll on Wang Lin's wrist flew out, transforming into the divine archery chariot with a bang. With these two things added, how can I possibly fight you? Zhao Xinmeng looked at Wang Lin, remained silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled, lowering her voice. "I underestimated you, seventh brother. I give up." After saying that, Zhao Xinmeng retreated, floating in front of the purple sect. But at this moment, a purple arc suddenly roared from the horizon. The disciples of the six sects all looked towards the source of the purple energy. Many of them glanced at it, their expressions becoming strange. Tia Yunzi's demeanor remained unchanged. He didn't even glance at the death energy, his hands clasped behind his back, his expression calm. The death energy roared forward, then suddenly stopped 100 yards away. The death energy dissipated, revealing the figure of a middle-aged man. His temples were pale, his face gaunt. He looked like a sharp sword, radiating a chilling aura. This kind of aura was somewhat similar to that of the disciples of Sword Venerable Ling Jianhu. He wore purple robes, identical to those of Wang Lin and Bai Wei. He stood there, bowing to Tia Yunzi and saying in a low voice, "Disciple Chen Dao greets Master." "It's him." Bai Wei's eyes narrowed. Fourth senior sister Zhao Xinmeng also gazed intently at him, a complex expression suddenly appearing in her eyes. The sixth son of the death system. The one who achieved the title of Taiyun 7 sons before Sun Yun. I heard this person has followed Master for a long time. That year, after losing to Sun Yun and the disciples of the purple lineage, he left the Heavenly Fortune sect and went to outer space to train. Small discussions spread among the disciples of the six lineages. Heavenly Fortune Master's gaze fell upon Chen Dao, a look of admiration in his eyes, and he said, "It's good that you returned so early." Chen Dao, his face weathered, replied, "Originally, I wouldn't have returned late, but when I passed by the black ink star, a treasure appeared there. I was very happy and wanted to present it to Master, so I was delayed a little." Heavenly Fortune Master laughed loudly. "What kind of treasure could possibly please you?" Chen Dao's expression remained unchanged. He potted his storage bag, and something immediately appeared in his hand. It was a flower with 6 petals. The flower itself was white, but its 6 petals were also 6 different colors: red, orange, pink, green, blue, and purple. With the help of these 6 colors, the white flower not only lacked any sense of chaos, but instead possessed an ethereal quality. As if it had ascended from 6 colors of light, it was truly beautiful. "This is the wondrous flower. My knowledge is limited, and I don't know what kind of flower this is. But on Black Ink Star, it was fought over by 3 top-grade beasts. I had to expend considerable effort to obtain it." Chen Dao respectfully held the flower forward. The flower slowly floated towards Tia Yunzi, stopping before him. Tia Yunzi looked at the flower, pondered for a moment, and then said, "This flower is the 7-colored glazed flower. It takes 10 years to take root, 100 years to sprout leaves, 1,000 years to emit light, and 10,000 years to bloom once. Each time it blooms, it displays only one color, blooming continuously up to 6 times, and only on the 7th bloom can it radiate 7-colored light. This is something that demonic beasts absolutely adore. If they swallow this 7-colored light, it will be extremely beneficial to them. It is considered one of the most precious treasures of heaven and earth." In the Cultivation Alliance, it ranks 93rd among the rare treasures of heaven and earth. Am I right, Elder Sun? After saying this, Taeyunzi looked towards Elder Sun. Elder Sun smiled slightly and nodded, saying, "That's right. This is the 7-colored glazed light. However, the fire is a little weak. The 7th petal hasn't bloomed yet. But with your divine power, Taoist Taeyunzi, it won't take too long to make all 7 petals bloom." Taeyunzi raised his hand, grasped the flower before him, and smiled, saying, "All right, I will accept this." Chenda's eyes suddenly flashed as he looked at the 3 people from the purple sect, including Wang Lin, and calmly said, "The number of people from my purple sect is indeed decreasing." Bai Wei, Jiao Xinmeng, it's been a long time. Bai Wei's expression was somewhat unnatural, and she said nothing. As for Jiao Xinmeng, her eyes showed a complex expression, and she softly said, "I knew your master would definitely return for his 10,000-year birthday celebration." Chenda looked at Jiao Xinmeng for a moment, then shifted his gaze to Wang Lin. However, he only lingered on Wang Lin for a moment before paying no further attention. "Where is Sun Yan?" Jiao Xinmeng sighed inwardly, softly transmitting a few words. Chenda's expression changed. He turned sharply towards Jiao Xinmeng, then glanced at Wang Lin, and slowly said, "Are you the 7th elder? State your name." "Wang Lin." Wang Lin's eyes calmly met his. Chenda's cultivation level was not concealed at all. From the moment this person approached, Wang Lin could tell that his cultivation had definitely surpassed the nascent soul stage, and had likely reached the peak attainment stage. As for the realm of the peak of inquiry, Wang Lin couldn't see through it. "You are not worthy of being my 7th junior brother." "My 7th junior brother is only Sun Yan." Chando's gaze was calm, averting his eyes from Wang Lin. Taeyunzi continued to observe his disciple, smiling without speaking. "Master, this time I have returned to once again attain the title of Heavenly Fortune 7 Sons. I hope you will grant my request." Chenda looked at Taeyunzi, speaking respectfully but resolutely. Taeyunzi smiled slightly and said, "Heavenly Fortune 7 Sons. In the purple lineage, currently only you and your 7th junior brother have the qualifications, but only one can achieve it." A hint of coldness appeared at the corner of Chen Dao's mouth as he nodded. Without hesitation, he took a step forward, instantly appearing before Wang Lin. His right hand moved faster than lightning, instantly unleashing a seal with the force of a thunderbolt, suddenly landing a meter in front of Wang Lin. A deafening explosion resounded. Wang Lin's body instantly recoiled, the giant demon clan's battle axe appearing before him to block the attack of the seal. At the same time, the golden immortal power in Wang Lin's right hand slightly surged forward, only managing to push him back a little over 10 meters. When he stopped, Wang Lin's expression turned grim as he stared intently at Chen Dao. He had been extremely focused just now. The opponent's seal hadn't actually attacked him, but only served to suppress him. Although it only stopped in midair, the residual power still pushed Wang Lin back. This kind of power was clearly something Wang Lin couldn't withstand. Wang Lin didn't know that at this moment, Chen Dao was also extremely surprised. His divine ability just now was incredibly powerful. Although it only landed in midair, the residual power could at least push this mid-stage nascent soul cultivator back more than 100 meters. Therefore, it had a deterrent effect, allowing him to directly achieve the title of Heavenly Fortune 7 Sons without having to lift a finger. But now, it could only force the opponent to retreat a little over 10 meters. This distance, of course, had no intimidating effect as before. On the contrary, pushing him away seemed to make him want to fight him. "You give up." Chen Dao raised his eyebrows, coldly looking at Wang Lin, speaking slowly and with an extremely confident tone. Wang Lin looked at Chen Dao, his eyes gradually becoming cold. This person's arrogance was extremely obvious. He didn't utter a word, but the 5-turn golden immortal power in his left hand suddenly rose and thrust forward. The 5-turn golden immortal power immediately reversed, carrying a strange sound, and almost instantly arrived in front of Chen Dao. Chen Dao glanced at the 5-turn golden immortal power vortex, lowering his voice and saying, "This spell isn't used like that." After saying that, he pushed his right hand forward, and the roaring golden immortal power vortex suddenly stopped in front of Chen Dao's right index finger, emitting a buzzing sound. Chen Dao's right index finger shot towards the vortex. Unexpectedly, the golden immortal power vortex paused for a moment, then slowly increased its power by another turn, reaching 6 turns. Chen Dao's finger didn't stop, shooting out 3 more times in quick succession. Suddenly, a heaven-destroying aura erupted from the vortex. At this point, the vortex had reached 9 turns. Chen Dao looked up at Wang Lin with contempt. He pressed his right hand forward, and the 9-turn golden immortal power vortex suddenly changed direction, roaring and hurtling towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was grim. He immediately retreated, his right hand grasping the battle axe in midair, and he leapt up, bringing it down with a thunderous roar. A 10-foot-long axe blade shot out from the battle axe, wildly howling as it directly struck the approaching 9-turn whirlwind. The axe blade flashed and passed through, but the 9-turn whirlwind only flickered briefly before rapidly rushing towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained calm in the face of danger, his right hand gesturing in the air. Immediately, a silver light enveloped the approaching 9-turn whirlwind. At the same time, Wang Lin performed a teleportation technique. However, the target wasn't himself, but the silver light enveloping the 9-turn whirlwind. He wielded the teleportation technique with incredible speed, almost instantly completing it. He softly uttered, "Great teleportation." As soon as these words were spoken, the 9-turn whirlwind, enveloped in silver light, arrived before him, 3 zhang away from Wang Lin. Waves of destructive energy surged towards Wang Lin, but his expression showed not the slightest panic. The 9-turn whirlwind came furiously, but just as it was only 1 zhang away from Wang Lin, the silver light enveloping it suddenly flashed intensely and unexpectedly. It vanished completely in front of Wang Lin, as if it had never existed. This scene caused the surrounding cultivators to immediately become serious. A hint of admiration appeared in Cui Yunzi's eyes, and he nodded slightly. Chen Da's eyes flashed, and his contempt for Wang Lin had vanished. All of this happened extremely quickly. Almost instantly after the 9-turn whirlwind disappeared, Wang Lin retracted his battle axe, formed a hand seal, pointed towards the distant archer god, and shouted, "Soul Beast, appear!" Chen Dao only glanced at the divine archer chariot, not paying much attention, before turning sharply to look at it. He saw a surge of indomitable spirit suddenly rise. At the same time, a gigantic soul beast furiously materialized and charged out, emitting a ferocious roar. This sound pierced the heavens and earth, instantly terrifying the disciples of the other 6 sects. They had never encountered such a soul beast before. After hearing its indomitable roar, the disciples of the other 6 sects felt Wang Lin's strength instantly increase. Even the eyes of the cultivators from all over who had come to celebrate the birthday showed a strange glint. Especially several high-level old masters stared intently at this soul beast, their eyes filled with contemplation. Even Sword Venerable Ling Jian, who showed surprise in his eyes after seeing this soul beast. Wang Lin, suspended in midair, softly shouted, "Swallow him!" The soul beast roared and leapt up, its speed incredibly fast, almost instantly reaching Chen Dao. A glint of fighting spirit flashed in Chen Dao's eyes. He quickly formed a hand seal, and a purple light sphere immediately formed in front of him. Just as the soul beast charged forward, it exploded. A deafening explosion shook the surrounding cultivators, causing their eardrums to burst. Chen Dao, though unharmed, had his clothes torn in several places, looking somewhat disheveled. The soul beast, however, was pushed back several hundred meters by the force of the attack. Its body swayed, and it charged forward again with renewed ferocity. This time, numerous iron chains appeared all over its body. The chains were straight, one end connected to its body, the other to the divine archery chariot. The fighting spirit in Chen Da's eyes intensified. He raised his head and laughed wildly, shouting, "A pretty good beast. It piques my interest." After saying that, he tore off his clothes, revealing his bare upper body. He potted his storage bag, and a long black rope appeared in his hand. This rope looked like the tendon of some creature that Chen Dao had pulled out. Immediately, a scent full of wild energy rushed out, hitting him straight in the face. "You beast, my dragon scale was extracted from a dead demon dragon by me, alone in a demon realm for over 500 years. Let's see if you can escape from this dragon scale." Having said that, he took a step forward, unexpectedly ignoring Wang Lin and swinging the dragon scale directly at the soul beast. The soul beast roared, its body flashing, unexpectedly dodging the dragon scale and appearing beside Chen Dao, opening its mouth to bite. Chen Dao laughed loudly, his body moving slightly, flashing away, and the dragon scale swung up again from an unbelievable angle, binding the soul beast's neck. At the same time, Chen Dao's body flashed again, directly standing on the soul beast's head, the dragon scale in his hand tightening fiercely. He shouted, "You wretched beast, let's see how you escape." Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He raised his right hand, forming a hand seal before him. After a moment, he pointed it towards the void. He softly uttered, "The God Shooting Chariot, fifth seal, release." As soon as these words were spoken, a black light flashed and disappeared from Wang Lin's right hand as he formed the seal. At the same time, the enormous body of the soul beast, which had been trapped by the dragon scale, suddenly went berserk. Immediately afterward, an unprecedentedly ferocious aura emanated from its eyes. It suddenly lifted its head and let out a frenzied roar. In this sound, besides revealing an indomitable will, there was also a joyful feeling, as if countless years of suppression had finally been unleashed. Back then, when Wang Lin obtained the God Shooting Chariot, he also obtained the inherited method for using it. It's simply that his cultivation level isn't high enough. Once he unleashes it, the divine archer might turn around and bite him before even injuring his opponent. Therefore, the seal on the divine archer chariot had never been broken before. Today was the first time he had broken the first of the 5 seals, causing the divine archer chariot's power to increase dramatically. The divine archer chariot is a magical artifact capable of shooting down immortals. Its power couldn't possibly be limited to its current state. Once all 5 seals were completely broken, its power would be unimaginable. However, with Wang Lin's current cultivation level, even breaking just the first seal would have enormous consequences. If he ultimately couldn't retrieve the divine archer chariot, what awaited him was the chariot's backlash. Relying on his cultivation reaching the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm, Wang Lin had a certain degree of confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't have easily broken the seal. After breaking the first seal, the divine archer chariot not only underwent a transformation in its soul beast aura, but even the ferocious claws on the divine archer chariot instantly began to change. Unexpectedly, these sharp points began to twitch and rapidly extend, becoming several times more ferocious than before. Moreover, at one of the sharp points, bursts of black light flashed. These black lights flashed and quickly entered the soul beast's body along with the iron chains. The soul beast roared furiously. Its body suddenly expanded several times. Originally only about 10 meters tall, it instantly transformed into over 100 meters, like a giant beast statue, its feet stomping on the ground, its body shaking violently. Immediately, Chen Dao's expression changed drastically for the first time. He saw bursts of black light spreading wildly from the soul beast's body, all rushing towards Chen Dao on its back. Chen Dao grasped the dragon scale with one hand and formed a hand seal with the other. Suddenly, a cluster of purple light spheres appeared around his body. When the black light rushed towards him, these light spheres immediately exploded. A series of thunderous sounds echoed. Chen Dao let out a painful cry. In an instant, the black aura on the giant body of the soul beast thickened. Suddenly, it flickered, unexpectedly transforming completely into black aura, as if collapsing, frantically scattering in all directions. Only the dragon scale remained in midair, binding the void, along with Chen Dao standing there with a grim expression. Around them, streaks of black aura rapidly rotated. Almost in the blink of an eye, 100 yards in front of Chen Dao, all the black aura had condensed together, finally transforming into the form of the soul beast. After breaking the first seal, the soul beast's attack was no longer just a simple devouring technique, but could now utilize several divine abilities. Although Chen Dao's expression was grim, the fighting spirit in his eyes intensified. He spun around, looking at Wang Lin and saying grimly, "Little junior brother, you now have the qualifications to be my junior brother. However, this kind of qualification comes at a very high price." Wang Lin stared at Chen Dao, slowly saying, You don't have the qualifications to be my senior brother." Chen Dao glanced at Wang Lin, laughing loudly. "Fighting this beast will take some time. However, as long as I catch you, this beast won't be able to escape. Let's see if I'm qualified to be your senior brother or not." After saying that, his body suddenly transformed into a blur and rushed straight towards Wang Lin. The opponent was a peak-level cultivator, and Wang Lin naturally understood that he was no match for him, but he couldn't let him give up so easily. Even if he lost, Wang Lin wanted to make this person understand that he shouldn't provoke him. At this moment, Chen Dao flashed forward, but Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. Without any hesitation, he raised his right hand, pointing his little finger. The final move in Sichunan's 3 deadly techniques, after much deliberation, was now being imparted to Wang Lin. Sichunan had solemnly stated that this technique could not be easily used unless one reached the late stage of the nascent soul realm. If used with early stage nascent soul cultivation, before injuring the opponent, one would inevitably suffer a backlash. Early stage nascent soul cultivators simply couldn't withstand it. Only those who reached the middle stage of the nascent soul realm could use it, and even then, it couldn't be fully unleashed, otherwise, they would suffer a backlash. Even those in the late stage of the nascent soul realm had to be extremely cautious when using this third technique. Only after reaching the peak of the nascent soul realm could one freely unleash this technique. Wang Lin pointed his right little finger towards Chen Dao. At this moment, his body showed no signs of immortal power fluctuations, and even his life force was slowly dissipating. In a very short time, he was completely devoid of life. This scene instantly stunned the vast majority of cultivators. Even Te Yunzi's eyes narrowed, watching intently. Ling Tianhu, who had been observing all along, his eyes flashed as he stared at Wang Lin, a strange smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. This guy, not bad. Among those who came to offer congratulations was a red-faced old man with a large red gourd behind him. At this moment, he took a sip of wine, carefully observing Wang Lin, muttering to himself, "This move is exactly the same as that madman's when I arrived here." Chen Dao's figure moved 5 meters in front of Wang Lin, a sense of danger that had almost never appeared in recent years, except when facing that old monster, suddenly flashed in his heart. At this moment, Wang Lin's entire vitality suddenly vanished, leaving only his eyes shining with an unusual brilliance. Within this brilliance lay a kind of cold solitude. When it fell upon Chen Dao, it shook his heart. What kind of eyes are these? Even those who cultivate the heartless Dao should never possess such eyes. Yellow Spring's Finger. Wang Lin murmured softly. The Yellow Spring's Finger was the final move among Sichunan's 3 ultimate techniques. Cultivating this move was not like the previous 2, which could be achieved through enlightenment. To learn this move, one must first learn the Yellow Springs Ascension technique, entering the Yellow Springs through life and experiencing a transition between life and death before being able to comprehend it. That year, Sichunan, facing life and death in the underworld, finally gained some enlightenment. Combining it with a fragmented, low-grade immortal technique, he ultimately imitated and created this deadly move. Upon its appearance, Sichunan arrogantly declared that its power, while not equal to the genuine fragmented immortal technique, was certainly not far behind. This was the main reason why it could only be used freely upon reaching the peak of the immortal realm. With a single point, the sky suddenly darkened, and lightning bolts struck. Simultaneously, the entire sky seemed to be pushed apart by a hand, and a landscape painting appeared from the horizon. It represented the underworld, revealing Wang Lin's divine intent. Clouds of dust and mist from the landscape painting in the air spread wildly, merging together at an unimaginable speed to form the underworld finger. The essence of life and death reincarnation. The surrounding cultivators immediately exclaimed. At this moment, the eyes of all the monks were fixed on Wang Lin. 2 streaks of Yellow Spring's Finger, moving at incredible speed, suddenly shot towards Chen Dao. Chen Dao's fighting spirit surged, and he laughed heartily. His body flicked, and he raised both hands. 2 crescent-shaped golden rays of light flashed from his palms. In an instant, the Yellow Spring's Finger struck him, one after the other, originating from Wang Lin's little finger and the reincarnation intent respectively, attacking simultaneously. A deafening explosion suddenly erupted around Chen Dao's body, spreading outwards. The air was like a raging whirlwind, and the reincarnation intent instantly dissipated. Wang Lin's body took a deep step back, retreating more than 10 meters, then over 100 meters, spitting out a mouthful of immortal blood. His immortal power was completely chaotic. He looked up at Chen Dao and said grimly, "I give up." Looking back at Chen Dao, his expression remained unchanged. He withdrew his hands and coldly stared at Wang Lin. The fighting spirit in his eyes not only didn't dissipate but intensified. He said in a deep voice, "Wait until you reach the peak of enlightenment, then we'll fight again, seventh son." He took a deep breath, suppressing the chaotic immortal power within his body. Wang Lin's single strike completely exceeded Chen Da's expectations. If it weren't for the fortuitous encounter he had before returning, allowing his cultivation to reach the mid-stage of the peak of enlightenment, even though he could have withstood this strike, he would certainly have been injured. Tia Yunzi looked at Wang Lin, the admiration in his eyes growing stronger. After speaking, Tia Yunzi pointed his finger at his forehead, and immediately a transparent crystal flashed out, slowly flying from his forehead into his hand. He waved his hand, and the crystal instantly transformed into a purple-red light, flying to Chen Dao's front and quickly merging into his forehead. "This isn't your first time receiving the title of Taiyuan Seven Sons. Contemplate it yourself," Tia Yunzi said slowly. Chen Dao took a deep breath, bowed deeply to Tia Yunzi, and respectfully said, "Disciple thanks master." Tia Yunzi nodded, then his gaze swept over the surrounding cultivators, clasped his hands together and said kindly, "Gentlemen, my 10,000-year birthday celebration has come to an end today. If you have no important matters, I hope you will stay and rest for a few days at my Tianyun sect. Let's discuss the Dao together and verify our Dao fruit." The surrounding monks spoke politely, and the vast majority dispersed without staying. In a short time, tens of thousands of streaks of light suddenly appeared outside the Heavenly Fortune sect, flying away into the distance. Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu chuckled, his body leaping more than 10 meters, transforming into a streak of sword light and swiftly flying towards the horizon. From afar, his voice echoed, "Heavenly Fortune, old man, according to our agreement, 3 months from now, at the East Sea Demon Spirit Gate, remember to select someone to enter." Heavenly Fortune Master's eyes narrowed, and he nodded slightly. Then, looking at Wang Lin, he said, "Follow me to worship the ancestral spirit. And then I will impart to you Forbidden's techniques and divine abilities, and give you your life-bound magic weapon. From now on, you are a true disciple of me, Heavenly Fortune Master." Wang Lin respectfully acknowledged, his eyes gleaming. Forbidden's techniques and divine abilities. Only by truly becoming a genuine disciple of Tianyunzi, after paying homage to the ancestral spirits, could one seize the opportunity that countless people aspired to learn the Forbidden's divine techniques that Tianyunzi had imitated from immortal arts. Tianyunzi waved his sleeve, and a massive 7-colored cloud suddenly appeared from the void, enveloping Wang Lin and carrying him away, swiftly flying towards the horizon. The clouds dispersed, revealing a clear blue sky. Inside the 7-colored cloud, Wang Lin tilted his head and looked down. He saw the mountains and rivers beneath his feet flash by in an instant. A few moments later, the 7-colored cloud flew past the various branches of the Tianyun sect and appeared at the main sect. Before Wang Lin lay a landscape even more beautiful than any immortal realm. 3 towering mountains, shrouded in clouds, stood between the earth and sky like 3 fingers piercing the heavens. Of these 3 massive mountains, the central one was covered in a blanket of white snow. The sunlight shone upon it, scattering countless rays of light. This light shines continuously. Prolonged exposure to it can cause a dizzying sensation. There are also patches of verdant green on the mountain, further enhancing its splendor. There is no path up this mountain. This entire expanse of snow is the 9 underworld's frigidity, unmelting for tens of thousands of years. Mortals, let alone touching it, would instantly freeze their flesh and blood within 1,000 feet, turning them into icy corpses. Wang Lin, nestled within the 7-colored cloud, clearly felt the gentle, constant flow of cold air outside the cloud. Of the 3 mountains, except for the one completely covered in white snow, the 2 mountains on either side were entirely black. This black color contrasted sharply with the white snow, creating a powerful impact. Black snowflakes drifted down from the slopes of the 2 mountains, seemingly without end. From afar, the scene before them seemed unreal, as if someone had used the power of heaven and earth to create a painting. This painting depicted a landscape into colors, black and white, that shook the heavens and the earth. Wang Lin looked at the mountain gate of the Heavenly Fortune sect, the shock in his eyes gradually returning to normal. Heavenly Fortune Master waved his sleeve, and the 7-colored clouds enveloping the 2 of them immediately dissipated. As soon as the clouds vanished, the icy cold air from outside immediately rushed towards Wang Lin's body, relentlessly penetrating him. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He circulated the immortal power within his body, and a white aura immediately appeared. The icy cold air from all sides completely dissipated upon reaching this aura. Heavenly Fortune Master clasped his hands behind his back, looking at the three distant mountains, and slowly said, "Wang Lin, what do you think of this place?" Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then slowly said, "This icy cold air is truly astonishing. But it is also an excellent place to cultivate techniques with yin cold attributes." Tia Yunzi chuckled softly, saying, "Is that all?" Wang Lin bowed his head and respectfully said, "This disciple's knowledge is limited. I can't see any more clues." Tia Yunzi shook his head, looking at Wang Lin with a half smile, half frown, and said, "If you can reveal any clues about this place, when I impart the forbiddance techniques and divine abilities to you, I may make an exception and allow you to choose. Unlike other disciples who are assigned the forbiddance techniques to cultivate by me, Wang Lin, are you tempted?" Wang Lin looked up at Tia Yunzi, his face calm, and said, "Master's command. How dare this disciple disobey?" He pointed to the black mountain on the left and continued, "This entire mountain is pitch black. Even the falling snow is black, but this black snow lacks the coldness. Compared to the white snow on the central mountain, it creates a strange atmosphere." Tia Yunzi's expression remained unchanged, and he smiled, saying, "Is that so? Continue." Wang Lin pointed to the mountain on the right and said, "This mountain is even more bizarre. I can vaguely sense a trace of life. Although it is said that all things in the world have life, this is the first time I have encountered a mountain with life." Tia Yunzi's expression remained unchanged as he smiled and said, "Is that all?" "If that's all, then Wang Lin, you couldn't have chosen a forbiddance technique from me." Wang Lin smiled slightly, shook his head, and said, "Master, these two mountain slopes are fake." Upon hearing this, a hint of surprise flashed into Yunzi's eyes. He carefully examined Wang Lin, then burst into laughter. He waved his sleeve, enveloping Wang Lin, and like a flash of lightning, flew straight to the central mountain. This person's mind is truly extraordinary. Even with my true illusion technique and my mid-stage transformation realm cultivation, he can only discern a hint of it that's rare. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, but his heart trembled. The moment he saw these three mountains, a distant image instantly flashed through Gushen Tut's memory. It was the ninth and final treasure forging attempt by Gushen Tut. This time, Tut forged a trident. He spent countless years searching for materials before finally completing it. After forging, the treasure had only taken shape but lacked a soul. Therefore, Tut used his own ancient blood to imbue the treasure, then threw it to a massive planet, transforming it into a towering mountain with 3 peaks, imbuing it with mountain essence and condensing a mountain soul. Then he departed. According to Tut's idea, after he underwent a transformation and resumed his cultivation, the soul body of this magical artifact would appear. At that time, when he retrieved it, it would be a peerless treasure. The mountain formed by the trident and the mountain Wang Lin was witnessing were almost identical. However, Wang Lin immediately dismissed the idea that this heavenly fortune star was where the ancient god Tut had left his magical artifact, because the 3 mountains before him were exactly as he described. 2 of the slopes were fake. But Heavenly Fortune Master's cultivation is extraordinary. If he were concealing it, with my current cultivation level, I wouldn't be able to discern any clues. Wang Lin dismissed some distracting thoughts, and, being drawn by Heavenly Fortune Master, walked to the foot of the White Mountain. "Wang Lin, I'll wait for you above. Without using teleportation, the shorter the time it takes you to ascend, the more valuable items you'll obtain. The first 100 steps below are not difficult for your cultivation level, but the 100 steps before the summit will depend entirely on your own luck. These 100 steps are called the Land of Shattered Immortals by my master." Tia Yunzi glanced at Wang Lin, then turned and took a step forward, silently disappearing from Wang Lin's sight. Wang Lin looked up at the mountain peak above, where snowflakes filled the sky. If one looked for too long, it would give the illusion of a sharp white sword descending from the heavens. Withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin didn't immediately ascend the mountain, but sat down cross-legged on the ground, quietly meditating for a while. After the time it takes to burn an incense stick, Wang Lin opened his eyes, a hint of calm in them. He stood up and walked step by step towards the mountain peak. The cold wind howled, the ice and snow bone-chilling. As Wang Lin advanced, the cold air grew heavier, carrying with it sounds like the howling of demons, constantly assaulting Wang Lin. The ice and snow on the ground left no trace even when stepped on. The entire mountain resembled a massive white glass structure. Immortal, even with powerful treasures and no worries about the freezing cold, would be unable to ascend because there was no path. But for Wang Lin, his feet never touched the ground. He floated 3 feet above the surface as he moved forward. Teleportation wasn't impossible here, but Tia Yunzi had said this was a test, and using it would mean failure. Therefore, Wang Lin didn't teleport, his expression calm as he advanced step by step through the air. A chilling wind whistled in his ears. Ahead lay a vast expanse of white. A layer of icy frost enveloped him, radiating an astonishingly cold aura. Beneath his feet, a single step would send him sliding down the icy slope of the mountain. Even so, this trial was not unbearable for Wang Lin. Back in the ancient Godland, he had encountered many places like this. Time passed slowly, and the closer he got to the summit, the more terrifying the cold became. The aura around Wang Lin's body also grew brighter. When he was about 100 steps from the summit, Wang Lin paused, stopping his steps. He took a deep breath. As soon as he exhaled, he heard a series of cracking sounds, and 3 feet in front of him, ice crystals unexpectedly froze, falling to the ground with a clear, crisp sound of impact against the ice. Along with that, the cold air rushed into his body through his nose and mouth. Under the circulation of immortal power, this cold air slowly disappeared. Wang Lin looked up. On the summit, about 100 steps away, stood a pagoda shrouded in wind and snow. It emitted bursts of beautiful 7-colored light. The land of shattered immortals. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. After a moment of silence, he lowered his body slightly towards the mountain's surface. This was the first time Wang Lin's feet had set foot on this ice crystal-like mountain. The moment his feet touched the ground, a feeling of unease immediately spread from his legs upwards. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold, and he snorted, lightly stepping forward with his right foot. With a loud bang, Wang Lin's right foot sank a meter deep into the ice, firmly planted. At that moment, an unimaginable surge of cold air erupted from the ground. This cold air was countless times denser than the cold winds Wang Lin had encountered on his way up. It directly rushed into his body through his right foot, impacting his chest and abdomen via his meridians. But just as the icy energy permeated Wang Lin's entire body, a divine consciousness suddenly emerged from within his primordial spirit. This consciousness swept across his body. The icy energy that had rushed into his body, upon encountering this consciousness, strangely and silently turned back, gradually retreating and once again penetrating the ice mountain through Wang Lin's right foot. This icy energy is no match for the coldness of my heart. If it can't compare to my heart, how can it compare to my primordial spirit, to my body? Truly laughable. Wang Lin raised his head, a cold smile appearing at the corner of his mouth, and stepped forward with his left foot. At this moment, the coldness on his lips had become the coldest thing on this snow-covered ice mountain. The icy wind stopped 3 feet in front of him, and the scattered snowflakes dissipated 3 inches from the top of his head. Wang Lin's feet continued to move, each step sinking deep into the ice, producing a series of banging sounds as he advanced towards the mountaintop. At this moment, it wasn't his cultivation that altered the icy coldness of this place, surpassing the millennia-old ice and snow that hadn't melted. The cause of all this was the coldness within Wang Lin's heart. The icy coldness in his heart caused an indomitable will to envelop his entire being. The heart-questioning realm was like this: if my heart is cold, then all the coldness in this world cannot freeze me for even a moment. Wang Lin's eyes were icy, and the aura emanating from his body was equally icy. At this moment, his body was no longer that of an ordinary person, but like an ancient, frozen fortress, having endured countless years without ever melting. Tia Yunzi sat in the pagoda atop the mountain, silently watching Wang Lin approaching from a distance. His eyes flashed with a brilliant light as he stared intently at Wang Lin, his entire being falling into silence. Tia Yunzi originally thought that when Wang Lin entered the shattered immortal land, he would at most only be able to take 10 steps before being unable to go any further. 10 steps was already the limit for a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. If Wang Lin could reach that many steps, he would summon him and impart forbidden techniques and divine abilities. But now, Wang Lin had taken 21 steps. That meant he would have to reach the immortal power of a late-stage nascent soul cultivator or even a peak-level cultivator. to ensure that his primordial spirit wouldn't collapse after taking more than 21 steps. Even with Tia Yunzi's composure, a sudden tremor of fear appeared at this moment. This person's state of mind is unexpectedly at the heart-questioning stage. Cultivating immortality, cultivating the true path, cultivating the Tao, he has understood a little of it. On this path, if the heart is cold, then no matter how cold the world is, nothing can penetrate it. He used this state of mind to take 21 steps. Wang Lin, I still underestimated you. If you cultivate for another 10,000 years, I wonder if you can break through to the third realm. When Wang Lin took 21 steps, his lower body was completely covered in ice. My state of mind is a bit of understanding of reincarnation. In the world, the path of reincarnation is the great path of heartlessness. Behind Wang Lin, the heavens and earth changed color at this moment. Countless snowflakes falling down were immediately stirred by a heartless force, pushed away frantically. Suddenly, a huge scroll appeared in the air behind Wang Lin. On this scroll was a landscape painting. However, it lacked the full spectrum of 7 colors, only displaying black and white. Wang Lin took a deep breath and stepped forward for the 22nd time. This step created a resounding roar, causing the entire mountain to tremble slightly. Cracks immediately appeared in the ice beneath his feet, demonstrating the firmness of his footwork. Tia Yunzi, standing inside the pagoda, his eyes gleaming with determination, said, back then, Sun Yun, with his late-stage nascent soul cultivation, took 26 steps. Wang Lin, how many steps can you take? Wang Lin forcefully raised his head, gazing at the pagoda on the mountaintop, pondering for a moment, then took another step. This time, he didn't just take 1 step, but 2, 3, 4, 5 steps in quick succession. With the first step, Wang Lin's head was held high, his eyes revealing a cold glint. With the second step, his entire body was icy cold. With the third step, the wheel of reincarnation behind him suddenly shrank from large to small, rotating around Wang Lin's head. In the fourth step, Wang Lin's entire being surged with power. A chilling sensation permeated his entire being, merging with his mental state to form a strange force that enveloped him completely, propelling him to the fifth step. In this fifth step, Wang Lin's eyes flashed like lightning as he silently gazed towards the pagoda on the mountaintop. He took 5 consecutive steps, each step accompanied by a resounding rumble. After 5 steps, countless cracks appeared in the ice surrounding Wang Lin. However, strangely, this ice layer not only didn't collapse, but instantly restored itself. 27 steps. The reincarnation scroll above Wang Lin's head suddenly erupted with an astonishing aura. His long hair automatically unfurled, and snowflakes swirled wildly around him, continuously moving outwards from his body. Intent. It was the concretization of enlightenment. After the initial, middle, and later stages of enlightenment, it finally reached a tangible manifestation. At this moment, as long as he possessed sufficient cultivation, abundant immortal jade, and had undergone the process of transcending the mortal realm, achieving an immortal embryo, attaining an immortal body, and the primordial spirit had completely merged with the physical body, he could reach the nascent soul stage. Under the enlightenment of a nascent soul cultivator, the conceptual realm will completely transform into substance. However, this substance requires a process. It cannot be completed in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin's Tao of life and death reincarnation is an extremely rare kind of enlightenment. This type of Tao is the most difficult to materialize. Since entering the nascent soul stage, Wang Lin has made some progress in materializing conceptual realms, but he has never grasped the core essence. If he continues like this, the opportunity to reach the peak of enlightenment will remain distant. But today, in the land of shattered immortals, Wang Lin's Tao of inquiry, combined with his comprehension of conceptual realms, took 20 steps as a foundation and successively took 5 more steps. These 5 steps are Tao steps, filled with an unwavering spirit of never turning back. If he doesn't go, so be it. But if he does go, he must surpass his predecessors. Following this aura, Wang Lin's mental state finally materialized. This step was crucial. Although this step didn't significantly enhance the power of his mental state or improve his cultivation, it opened the path to reaching the peak of enlightenment. Mental state entering the body. Above the pagoda, Tia Yunzi took a deep breath and muttered, within 100 years, this person has the hope of reaching the peak of enlightenment. 27 steps. Wang Lin fell silent. He could feel that his 27 steps were already his limit. In fact, his mental state had reached its limit with the previous 25 steps, but with the mental state entering the body by integrating a glimmer of enlightenment into his mind, he was able to take a few more steps, reaching 27 steps. Wang Lin knew he couldn't take the 28th step. Once he did, his entire cultivation would collapse, and even his primordial spirit would instantly dissipate. At this moment, from the pagoda atop the mountain, a 7-colored light instantly intensified, forming a 7-colored halo that enveloped the entire mountain in an instant. The inherent cold air almost vanished completely in a flash. The layer of ice in front of Wang Lin immediately reflected this 7-colored light. A 7-colored rainbow appeared above the ice layer before Wang Lin. "Come up and meet me," the voice of Tia Yunzi slowly descended from the pagoda on the mountaintop, filled with majesty. With a calm expression, Wang Lin took a deep breath, adjusted his breathing, and stepped onto the 7-colored rainbow. With one step, the second naturally covered the remaining 70 steps, directly appearing beneath the pagoda on the mountain. This was an extremely ordinary-looking pagoda. Its ordinary appearance at this moment suddenly condensed bursts of 7-colored light, instantly transforming into the figure of Tia Yunzi standing at the foot of the pagoda. The ancestor of my Taiyuan sect was not a cultivator, but a being of heavenly destiny. What I have pursued my entire life is heavenly destiny. All fate is predetermined by heaven. Whether human or any other being, everything is subject to the word destiny. I had no intention of going to the Vermilion Bird Star, but I happened to encounter you while you were comprehending the transformation into divinity, seeking the origin of the heavenly Tao. My encounter, on one hand, shows that I value talent, and on the other hand, it reflects the destiny between you and me. This shows that we have a master-disciple fate. Throughout my life, I, Heavenly Destiny Master, have believed in heavenly destiny, and therefore I have taken you as my disciple. Heavenly Destiny Master paused slightly, looking towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's demeanor was respectful. He stood there, bowing his head without speaking. You taking 27 steps is beyond my expectations. You haven't disappointed me. Heavenly Destiny Master withdrew his gaze, raised his right hand, and grasped the void. A cracking sound echoed throughout the heavens and earth. The entire sky was unexpectedly split into by a casual grab from Heavenly Destiny Master, revealing a long, large crack. From within this crack, 7-colored light poured out, illuminating the entire heaven and earth. At this moment, the entire main sect of the Heavenly Fortune sect, including the 3 mountains with the pagoda, was instantly illuminated by the 7-colored light. Simultaneously, the 7 elements red, orange, green, cyan, blue, and purple all emitted separate halos of light, preventing the 7-colored light from shining through. Nearly half the sky of the Heavenly Fortune star was illuminated, taking on a 7-colored hue. At the source of the 7-colored light, beneath that enormous crack, the entire body of Heavenly Fortune Master also emitted a 7-colored radiance, and he laughed, saying, "My 7-colored light of ultimate joy, combined with the 2 colors of black and white, is the most beautiful thing in the world." Finally, Tia Yunzi's expression turned serious. At this moment, he no longer had his previous gentle demeanor, but instead displayed an overwhelming aura of majesty. Looking at Wang Lin, he shouted, "Wang Lin, kneel down." Wang Lin said nothing, immediately kneeling on the ground, his head raised to look at Tia Yunzi. Tia Yunzi pointed at Wang Lin and shouted, "Today, under the 9-colored light, I accept you, Wang Lin, as the 7th disciple of the purple lineage. Wang Lin, do you vow to become my disciple? From now on abide by the sect's rules, not act against the Taiyuan sect, focus on cultivation, achieve the great Tao, and prove your Tao fruit. Do you agree?" Wang Lin's eyes were solemn, revealing a resolute expression as he calmly replied, "As long as Master doesn't betray me, I won't betray Master. As long as the Taiyuan sect doesn't betray me, I won't betray the Taiyuan sect. This is my promise, Wang Lin." Tia Yunzi's gaze narrowed. He carefully observed Wang Lin and slowly nodded. His left hand reached towards the crack in the air and grabbed something, causing the entire sky to suddenly tremble. From within the crack, a 7-colored altar slowly descended. This altar was enormous. As soon as one corner landed, the surrounding space immediately rumbled with rumbling sounds, unable to withstand the weight. Above the altar were countless wooden tablets emitting 7-colored light. At this moment, Tia Yunzi's left hand summoned, and a token instantly transformed into a purple light, tearing through the air and rushing towards Tia Yunzi's hand. Tia Yunzi's fingertips were like blades. Several sounds rang out from the token, and a line of text appeared. First year of the Tia Yun Crossing Wu. Accepting the 7th disciple of the purple lineage, Wang Lin. After engraving, Tia Yunzi swung the wooden tablet in his hand. The token automatically burst into flames, turning into a purple flame, leaving a purple-red trail in the air as it flew back to the altar. Now I will impart the Forbidden's divine technique to you. Which one do you want? The question from Tia Yunzi reached Wang Lin's ears, causing a thoughtful expression to appear in his eyes. Forbidden's techniques throughout the world are all derived from imitations of immortal techniques. The power of Forbidden's techniques varies greatly. For example, a Forbidden's technique imitating a mid-grade immortal technique will naturally be much more powerful than one imitating a low-grade immortal technique, perhaps even comparable to a low-grade immortal technique. Even if it's imitated from a high-grade immortal technique, the power of the Forbidden's technique might not be inferior to a low-grade immortal technique, or even surpass it. In short, the power of a Forbidden's technique is determined by the grade of the immortal technique. Forbidden's techniques with offensive attributes are not lacking in Wang Lin. Whether it's Sichu Nan's 3 killing moves or the divine archery chariot when the first seal was broken, they are all offensive spells of his. Furthermore, there are the immortal sword and the crescent blade. Especially the crescent blade, which, by its unexpected appearance, is an extremely important magical weapon for Wang Lin. Wang Lin had no shortage of evasive techniques, including the great teleportation Forbidden's technique. While this technique required some time to execute, its power was extraordinary if successful. Furthermore, in outer space, with the Silver Dragon Compass, Wang Lin's speed was naturally second to none. However, these were all comparisons Wang Lin made to peak-level cultivators. Once his cultivation surpassed peak-level cultivators, approaching the dualistic understanding of yin and yang, or even comprehending the dualistic understanding and reaching the shattered nirvana realm, whether it was glimpsed nirvana or pure nirvana, it would far surpass anything Wang Lin could imagine. Tia Yunzi didn't interrupt Wang Lin's thoughts. He calmly gazed into the air, showing no sign of impatience. This was Wang Lin's first choice, and Tia Yunzi wanted to see which techniques he would ultimately choose. After a while, Wang Lin raised his head, looked at Tia Yunzi, and said in a low voice, "Master, I want to choose a survival technique." Survival, Tia Yunzi looked at Wang Lin and smiled. How do you want to survive? Wang Lin's voice was calm and slow. As long as there is still a little life left, I will survive and prove the great Tao. Tia Yunzi smiled slightly, shook his head, and said, I don't possess that kind of divine ability. Wang Lin remained silent, saying nothing more. Tia Yunzi was silent for a moment, then said, well, your choice is entirely up to fate. Asking you makes me seem ordinary. Your destiny is self-evident. It's determined by chance. Now, I will open my mind and reveal 3,600 Forbidden's techniques and divine abilities to you. Choose for yourself. After speaking, Tia Yunzi's right hand suddenly rose, and a 7-colored light flashed from his fingertip at an unbelievable speed, pointing towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin felt as if a 7-colored door had opened before him. He involuntarily flew towards this door. Gradually, he stepped through it. What appeared before Wang Lin was a 7-colored world. This place was boundless, yet there were 3,600 identical Tia Yunzi, some sitting cross-legged cultivating, others fighting. These 3,600 Tia Yunzi were scattered everywhere, cultivating various divine abilities and magical techniques. Each divine ability was different. Wang Lin stood there, silently observing the Tia Yunzi around him. The first thing he saw was a heavenly fortune master not far away. He stood there, his hands forming a series of incantations, constantly changing them. Extremely powerful golden immortal energy surged from his hands, forming a massive vortex. This vortex slowly rotated 1 turn, 2 turns, and finally easily reached 9 turns. In an instant, a force that terrified even Wang Lin's mind slowly emanated from within the vortex. This force was incredibly powerful. 9-turn immortal refining technique. Wang Lin glanced at it, then withdrew his gaze and looked elsewhere. 300 feet away, a heavenly fortune master sat cross-legged, his eyes still open, emitting a dark light. A wisp of black energy continuously emanated from him, condensing above his head. As the black energy increased, a large black cloud finally formed above his head. Suddenly, this dark cloud began to swirl wildly, descending from the sky and enveloping the body of the old heavenly fortune master. A series of hissing sounds emanated from within the black mist. Immediately afterward, the black mist stirred slightly, instantly rushing into the distance and disappearing from Wang Lin's sight. Immortal Demon Body Forbiddance Technique. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Time passed slowly, but Wang Lin remained unhurried. He observed the 3,600 forbiddance techniques and divine abilities one by one. In the distance, a white-robed heavenly fortune master, his eyes revealing a strange light, raised his right hand, and a 7-colored light immediately flashed. His pupils suddenly turned purple. Immediately, the purple light within the 7-colored light roared out, directly dissolving into nothingness. Wang Lin silently watched this scene, his heart stirring with emotion. He had been here for an unknown amount of time. He had seen more than half of the 3,600 divine abilities, but only this one before him filled him with dread. Its power was immense, but that wasn't the main point. The crucial aspect was its 7-colored light. One must know that Taiyunzi's 7-colored joyful mouth was a forbiddance divine ability capable of attacking with 7 colors, its power absolutely not insignificant. Wang Lin gazed for a long time, waiting for the last single-colored light to flash, then turned and left, wondering if there was another one that caught his eye. In a very ordinary spot within this 7-colored world, a void, in the center sat Taiyunzi, dressed in a gray robe, cross-legged. There was no fluctuation of immortal power emanating from him. He sat there, eyes closed, meditating. Wang Lin passed by this place, glancing over briefly before flying past. But the moment he passed, he suddenly stopped abruptly, turning his head to assess the seated Heavenly Fortune Master. Gray Heavenly Fortune Master worships the 7 colors, 9 colors, and has reached the supreme venerable realm. Why gray? Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with a strange light. The more he looked, the brighter the light in his eyes became. Although this Heavenly Fortune Master before him looked exactly like the Heavenly Fortune Masters Wang Lin had seen before, with Wang Lin's observational skills, he could tell at a glance that this one was slightly younger. A slightly younger Heavenly Fortune Master. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he resolutely sat cross-legged, his gaze fixed on the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master. He remained seated for several days. During these days, the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master before him hadn't moved at all, completely silent. Time passed slowly and Wang Lin remained seated, yet he couldn't detect the slightest movement from Taiyunzi. Strange. Wang Lin's eyes showed a pensive expression. He suddenly raised his right hand, drawing a trail of afterimages in the air. Almost instantly, a forbidden spell's afterimage materialized from his hand, transforming into a black seal. Wang Lin unleashed it, and this forbidden spell, moving like lightning, shot straight towards Taiyunzi, who remained seated. This was the first time Wang Lin had launched an attack during his time here. The forbidden spell roared forward, piercing through Taiyunzi's body without any resistance. Taiyunzi remained unchanged, unexpectedly disappearing from the forbidden spell. Wang Lin was stunned, his divine consciousness sweeping around, carefully examining the surroundings, but he couldn't find any trace of Taiyunzi anymore. Strange. Wang Lin raised his eyebrows, pondered for a moment, then spread his divine consciousness, his body moving like lightning, beginning to search throughout this 7-colored world. He didn't know how much time had passed. One day, while flying, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed slightly. Without a word, he changed direction, quickly flying to the left. Not long after, Wang Lin stopped. Hundreds of meters away, a figure named Taiyunzi was sitting. He was wearing a gray robe. It was the same gray figure Wang Lin had been carefully searching for these past few days. Wang Lin immediately flew over, stopping 100 meters away, staring intently at the seated Taiyunzi. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin patted his storage bag, and the immortal sword instantly appeared in his hand. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and without a word, he suddenly slashed forward. The sword light roared out, along with the crescent-shaped saber. The speed of the saber was unbelievably fast. In the blink of an eye, it flashed, piercing through the chest of the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master, yet inflicting no injury whatsoever. It was as if this person existed only as an illusion. The sword light following closely behind did the same, piercing through the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master's body and flying into the distant void. At this moment, the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master suddenly emitted a surge of killing intent. This killing intent was overwhelming and extremely dense. Almost instantly, this killing intent spread in all directions, wildly expanding outwards. In the distance, all the other Heavenly Fortune Masters who were cultivating immediately withdrew their techniques, their eyes revealing strange light as they looked towards this place. At this moment, within this seven-colored world, 3,600 Heavenly Fortune Masters instantly sensed the abnormality. The existing Heavenly Fortune Masters quickly flew towards this place. Almost in an instant, they had reached within a 1,000-mile radius of the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master. Seal! A simultaneous roar erupted from the mouths of all the Heavenly Fortune Sons within a 1,000-mile radius. An unimaginable, strange force suddenly descended upon this land, like a massive, invisible net frantically sealing the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Son. The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Son's lips curled into a cold smile as he raised his head and uttered a single word: "Get out!" Under this word, the heavens and earth changed color, and the immense, invisible net that had been sealed instantly collapsed. An unimaginable wave of killing intent swept across 1,000 miles. Within this 1,000-mile radius, the 3,600 Heavenly Fortune Sons involuntarily retreated, almost instantly falling tens of thousands of miles away. At this moment, only a few illusory figures of Heavenly Fortune Sons remained within the 1,000-mile radius. All of these were those who possessed the powerful Forbidden techniques and divine abilities that Wang Lin had seen before. Under the intrusion of this killing intent, Wang Lin's entire body broke out in a cold sweat. This murderous aura was countless times stronger than his own. Like a firefly compared to the moon, it was simply incomparable. Previously, Wang Lin had always thought his own murderous aura was already very strong. But at this moment, he suddenly realized that the murderous aura of the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master, whose aura he didn't know, was the strongest he had ever encountered in his life. But this wasn't what truly terrified Wang Lin. What truly shocked him was that when all the illusory figures of the Heavenly Fortune Master approached, Wang Lin's divine consciousness clearly counted that there were 3,600 Heavenly Fortune Masters within a 1,000-mile radius. Wang Lin's gaze was fixed on the gray-robed, ice-cold face of Tia Yunzi. He was the 3,601st person. More than one. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Just then, unexpectedly, Tia Yunzi suddenly opened his eyes. This was the first time he had opened them. They were gray eyes. He looked at Wang Lin, saying nothing. But when his gaze fell upon Wang Lin, his primordial spirit trembled, and a voice filled with divine power, like a thunderclap, echoed in his ears. "Don't disturb me." Wang Lin's mind was greatly shaken. His primordial spirit panicked. After a long while, he regained his composure, and when he looked up, the figure of Tia Yunzi had vanished. Strange. Wang Lin's expression darkened. He remained silent for a moment, not saying a word, then suddenly spread his consciousness, searching again. This time, he abandoned further examination of the Forbidden techniques and divine abilities of the other Tia Yunzi phantoms and focused entirely on searching for this eerie gray figure. Time passed slowly. Despite his best efforts, he encountered the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master 3 more times. Each time, it was fruitless. The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master would suddenly vanish without a trace, making it impossible for Wang Lin to find him no matter how hard he searched. Until the 6th time. To be precise, this 6th time wasn't Wang Lin finding the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master, but rather the Master seeking him out. One day, Wang Lin was about to give up the search. He had decided to learn the 7-colored divine technique. He considered this technique the most miraculous after examining the Forbidden's divine techniques within it. He quietly stood beside the Heavenly Fortune Master, who was performing the 7-colored divine technique, and sighed softly, about to make his decision. Just then, a cold voice suddenly rang out from behind him like a gust of wind. "Are you a disciple of the Heavenly Fortune Master?" Wang Lin's body stiffened slightly, and he slowly turned around. 10 yards behind him, the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master was like a ghost. At the same time, the Heavenly Fortune Master, who was cultivating the 7-colored divine ability, suddenly withdrew his technique and looked up at the gray-robed man. But under the gray-robed man's glare, he immediately retreated quickly, seemingly extremely wary, and instantly disappeared into the distance. Wang Lin nodded and said, "That's right. Why are you here?" The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master's voice was still as cold as before. choosing a forbidden's divine ability. Wang Lin said calmly. Forbidden's divine ability. A hint of disdain appeared at the corner of the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master's mouth. Then he looked at Wang Lin and said, with Heavenly Fortune Master's temperament, he rarely allows others to come here to choose a cultivation technique. The reason he sent you here is probably because of me. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he inquired, Senior, who are you? The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master didn't answer Wang Lin's question, but carefully assessed him for a moment, then calmly said, Show me your intent. Wang Lin raised his eyebrows but immediately regained his composure. The life and death reincarnation intent instantly spread from his body. Immediately afterward, two colors, black and white, emanated from above his head. These two colors quickly intersected, suddenly transforming into the life and death reincarnation scroll. A rare glint of light flashed in the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master's eyes as he nodded slightly, saying, Attack me. Without a word, Wang Lin raised his right hand, and the life and death reincarnation scroll above his head instantly appeared in his hand. He tore it open with force. At this moment, he was like someone who held the heavenly Tao of life and death reincarnation, his icy gaze fixed on the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master, softly chanting, Life and death, reincarnation. As soon as these words were spoken, on the scroll depicting the cycle of life and death, from the landscape painting, streams of dust, like a roaring azure dragon, shot out, hurtling straight towards the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master. A sudden flash of dust appeared in his eyes, piercing through the air and directly entering Wang Lin's eyes. As for the rapidly moving azure dragon dust, it silently collapsed before the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master. The cycle of life and death's essence. The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master remained silent for a moment, then looked at Wang Lin and said, The main purpose of Heavenly Fortune Master sending you here is for my Slaughter Immortal technique. He wants to see if you have the opportunity. The Slaughter Immortal technique is not an immortal technique itself, but rather an imitation of an unknown immortal technique. This immortal technique is a perfect match for your cycle of life and death's essence. However, if you want to learn my Slaughter Immortal technique, you must agree to one thing. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, calmly saying, Please speak. The Slaughter Immortal technique, when you strike, leave no one alive. If you agree, I will teach it to you. The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master's eyes were icy cold as he slowly spoke. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, then smiled slightly, shook his head, and said, I will not learn it. After saying that, he bowed to the man and turned to leave. The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master's eyes suddenly flashed, and his right hand blocked the air, causing a cloud of dust to suddenly appear. This cloud of dust was like a sharp sword, which he casually swung. A sharp, piercing scream echoed, and the dust immediately shot straight towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin turned around, his calm gaze fixed on the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master. The dust, in the instant Wang Lin turned around, whizzed past him and stopped on a phantom image of the Heavenly Fortune Master cultivating 1,000 feet away. The illusory figure had no time to dodge and was directly engulfed by the dust, causing it to tremble and mysteriously transform into a wisp of mist before disappearing. At the same time, the dust dissipated from within the mist, reappearing before the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master, suddenly forming a complex seal that floated in the void. This seal is a manifestation of the immortal technique. It relies on killing to gain life force. By circulating life force around the body, it condenses into the life seal. The more seals there are, the stronger the defensive power. My entire body is protected by billions of seals. Even if the Heavenly Fortune Star collapses today, I will remain unharmed. Do you want to learn this immortal technique? The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master said calmly. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment before saying, Why must I be the one to learn it? The gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master said coldly, You are the sixth person the Heavenly Fortune Master has sent here. I don't like the number 7, and besides, because of a promise I made to Tang Yanzi, I will pass it on to you. If you keep arguing, then forget it. Wang Lin looked at the gray-robed man and suddenly asked, What is your relationship with my master? The gray-robed Yanzi coldly stared at Wang Lin, waved his right hand, and a wisp of dust instantly transformed into a jade slip, hovering in midair. Then, with a slight movement of his body, he vanished before Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes showed a pensive expression as he grasped the jade slip formed from the dust in the void. The moment his hand touched the jade slip, the seven-colored world suddenly transformed, as if the stars had shifted. Wang Lin felt dizzy, and when he recovered, he found himself standing beneath the pagoda on the mountaintop. Before him, Tianyunzi's eyes gleamed with a strange light as he stared at the jade slip in Wang Lin's hand, stroking his beard and smiling. The slaughter immortal technique, excellent. Wang Lin said nothing, his eyebrows slightly furrowed. Wang Lin remained silent, putting away the jade slip. He didn't completely trust Tianyunzi's words. However, Wang Lin's mind was deep and his expression didn't reveal any clues, so he nodded. Tianyunzi grabbed at the void, and a purple light immediately materialized from the void, forming a purple ring. One ring, a ring. Carefully examining the ring, Tianyunzi threw it to Wang Lin and said, "This ring is made from the purple light among the 7 colors of light. I give it to you as a life-saving magic treasure. This magic treasure can withstand a full-force attack from a late-stage nascent soul cultivator twice. But you must remember, if you violate the sect rules once, I will take it back once. If you violate them twice, this magic treasure will no longer have any power. The one you killed, the second son of the purple sect, did so because countless years had passed. This magical artifact was depleted once, and you had violated the sect rules once. Otherwise, how could you have easily seized his primordial spirit? However, since he attacked first and provoked you repeatedly, I will not pursue this matter further. But Wang Lin, you must remember, there will be no second time." Wang Lin accepted the ring, but instead of wearing it, he put it into his storage bag, respectfully saying, "Thank you, master." Tianyunzi nodded, waved his sleeve, and said, "The forbidden techniques have been taught. The magical artifact has been given. You may return." After saying that, he turned and walked towards the pagoda. Wang Lin stepped back a few steps, looked up, and said, "Master, I want to go down the mountain to train." Tianyunzi did not turn around, but his voice came through. "There's only one way for my disciple, Tianyunzi, to descend the mountain for training. Take my token and go to the Star Mist Garden of the Crimson Sect. Find a 6th level cultivation nation to act as an envoy. But on the Crimson Star 3 months from now, at the poisonous mountain peak outside the East Sea. Don't be late." Having said that, Tianyunzi's figure entered the pagoda and disappeared. A white token suddenly flew from the pagoda into Wang Lin's hand. At the same time, a gentle force suddenly emanated from the pagoda, pushing Wang Lin away. Wang Lin's body followed the momentum, directly flying out of the mountain. 100 miles away, Wang Lin stood in midair, turning his head to glance at the 3 mountains to black and one white, his eyes flashing with a strange light. Then he quickly turned and left. Star Mist Garden, Crimson Sect. After leaving the Tianyun sect, Wang Lin flew straight to the Crimson Sect without stopping. A red halo of light continuously spread out from the peak of the Crimson Mountain, enveloping everything like a sea of blood. Wang Lin's figure flew directly outside the Crimson Mountain, about to enter, when a cold shout came from inside. "Come here, stop." Wang Lin didn't say a word, directly waving the token in his hand forward, his figure following it, directly entering the Crimson Mountain. The person who had just shouted coldly obviously saw the token, snorted softly, and didn't stop him, letting Wang Lin fly inside. After Wang Lin entered, the void flickered, and the figure of a middle-aged man in red robes materialized, coldly looking in the direction Wang Lin had just disappeared. Muttering, "The 7th elder of the Purple Sect." A moment later, Wang Lin left the Crimson Mountain, his gaze fixed on the distant west. A 5th-level cultivation nation, Lingyu Kingdom. Tianyun Star, a 7th-level cultivation nation belonging to the Cultivation Alliance. It could even be said that among the 7th-level cultivation nations, Heavenly Fortune Star is absolutely number 1, because Heavenly Fortune Star has a person named Heavenly Fortune Sun. This Heavenly Fortune Sun can be called a supreme venerable of his generation, and even within the Cultivation Alliance he holds an inner member position. Few dare to provoke him. 7th-level cultivation nations often have many 6th-level cultivation nations as dependents, relying on them to strengthen their power. However, this is not overly prevalent on Heavenly Fortune Star. The entire Heavenly Fortune Star is surrounded by 5 subsidiary planets, all 6th-level cultivation planets, named after the 5 planets: Origin, Earth, Human, Destiny, and Fortune. The 5 subsidiary planets and the main heavenly fortune star are connected by large-scale teleportation arrays. However, the cost is very high in spirit stones and not easily accessible to ordinary cultivators. Surrounding the heavenly fortune star, besides the 5 subsidiary planets, there are many smaller planets, each containing the cave dwellings of some renowned old monsters. Although there are teleportation arrays, they are sealed annually and not easily opened. At the easternmost point of the heavenly fortune star lies a massive teleportation array. This array belongs to the heavenly fortune sect, and people are stationed there annually. Jiaoxi is one of those stationed there. Today is his turn to be in charge. He sits cross-legged outside the array. Jiaoxi is a disciple of the 5 great disciples of the heavenly fortune sect, having cultivated for over 700 years. His current cultivation level being the mid-stage of the God transformation realm. He felt a sense of satisfaction. It's worth knowing that on the heavenly fortune star, being a disciple of the heavenly fortune sect commands respect and awe from countless people, no matter where you are. Jiaoxi sat cross-legged, his eyes open, and let out a long sigh. Only 3 months left until someone comes to replace me. By then, upon returning to the sect, I must definitely go into seclusion for several years, striving to reach the late stage of the transformation God realm as soon as possible. Once I reach the late stage of the transformation God realm, I will request to go out and gain some experience. At that time, I will acquire some immortal jade. Perhaps in this lifetime, I, Jiaoxi, will even reach the nascent soul realm. Thinking of this, a glimmer of longing appeared in Jiaoxi's eyes. Unfortunately, my opportunities are insufficient. If I could be like some of the patriarchs, directly taken as a disciple by the ancestor, all of this would be no problem. Oh, my long-held dream is to become a peak-level expert. Then, opening a star mansion and completely ruling it myself. Wouldn't that be the most blissful thing in the world? Jiaoxi smiled bitterly, took a deep breath, and prepared to continue his cultivation. But just then, suddenly from the distant horizon, a long streak of light pierced the sky, a purple-red streak like a shooting star roaring towards him, the sound of tearing wind echoing loudly. Almost instantly, the meteor-like figure sped forward, nearly 1,000 feet away. Jiaoxi's expression was serious. He didn't stand up but coldly watched. Every day, a number of people used the teleportation array. Except for a few powerful figures, even those with higher cultivation than Jiaoxi didn't bother him, because after all, he was a disciple of the heavenly fortune sect. When he looked up, the figure, like a meteor, slowed down, allowing Jiaoxi to finally see its appearance. This person had long, simple hair tied back, wore purple clothes, and leisurely walked through the void. Almost instantly, it was 10 feet in front of Jiaoxi. The person stopped, coldly staring at Jiaoxi. Jiaoxi's gaze fell on a purple token at its waist. Clearly engraved on it was the character 7. Upon seeing the token, Jiaoxi's body trembled. Almost without hesitation, he rose to his feet at the fastest speed, respectfully saying, "Jiaoxi, one of the 5 great disciples of the 6 sects, pays his respects to the 7th ancestor of the purple lineage." Jiaoxi's demeanor was extremely respectful, and a sense of unease secretly surged within him. He wasn't qualified to attend the ancestor's birthday celebration, but he had heard many rumors from his fellow disciples. The most frequent rumor was that ancestor Taoyanzi had taken on a new disciple, the 7th son of the purple lineage, Wang Lin. Wang Lin, upon entering the sect, had caused earth-shattering changes throughout the purple lineage. He had ruthlessly murdered his second senior brother and, during the ancestor's birthday celebration, had attempted to seize the title of the 7th son of Taoyanzi. He had fought against the 4th son of the purple lineage, who had late-stage nascent soul cultivation, with his mid-stage nascent soul cultivation ultimately emerging victorious. But that wasn't the crucial point. The most important thing was that when this person achieved victory, the 6th elder of the purple sect, whose cultivation had reached the peak of the questioning realm, suddenly returned and engaged in a great battle. Although Wang Lin was defeated in this battle, it was very different in the eyes of all the disciples of the heavenly fortune sect. The 3 killing moves became Wang Lin's signature divine abilities, especially the move that diffused the heavenly demonic Che, which further enhanced his unparalleled aura. This kind of rumor, passed through the mass of countless people, finally reached Jiaoxi's ears, and the name Wang Lin before him had transformed into that of a bloodthirsty demonic cultivator. Not to mention his brutal nature, who would directly kill anyone who displeased him. Open the formation. Go to the Earth Spirit. Wang Lin's tone was calm as he stepped forward, passing Zhao Si and entering the teleportation array. He had observed it earlier in midair. This teleportation array covered a radius of about 10 miles, inscribed with countless complex symbols. Endless streams of power continuously spread out, filling the sky. From afar, the area appeared shrouded in a thick mist, obscuring all detail. Within the 10-mile radius, countless ravines crisscrossed the ground, like small branches of a large river, incredibly dense. Within these ravines, a strange force constantly flowed and changed. In Wang Lin's eyes, this 10-mile teleportation array was no longer simply a formation, but a statue of an ancient beast, possessing immense vitality. The complexity of this formation far surpassed any teleportation array Wang Lin had witnessed before. Zhao Zi took a deep breath, hastily acknowledged the order, and quickly stepped to one side of the formation. He formed hand seals and swiftly unleashed a beam of green light into the array. The moment the green light entered, this massive teleportation array suddenly emitted a rumbling sound, the green light becoming increasingly intense. Finally, it seemed as if the entire heaven and earth were shaken. A strange, invisible force emanated from the interwoven cracks in the ground within a 10-mile radius, gradually dispersing into eerie, dark light. At this moment, if viewed from above, one could clearly see 10 miles of the ground where the teleportation array was located, with beams of dark light slowly flashing and intertwining. Unexpectedly, it eventually formed a massive symbol. This was a symbol spanning 10 miles, its complexity unimaginable. At this moment, Wang Lin stood at the very center of this symbol. Almost instantly, this enormous symbol suddenly emitted an extreme light. This light enveloped the heavens and earth. In a flash, everything around was shrouded in a dark glow. Zhao Si, obviously familiar with this, instantly activated the formation, then closed his eyes, remaining silent for about 5 seconds before opening them wide again. There was no one left in the formation. Everything around had completely returned to normal, only scattered dark glows like fireflies slowly descending and merging into the formation on the ground. Zhao Si looked enviously at the now deserted formation, sighed softly, and muttered to himself, "This seventh sex grand ancestor doesn't know what he's doing on Earth. However, none of that concerns me. It's best to focus on cultivation and strive to reach the late stage of the God transformation realm as soon as possible." Zhao Si shook his head, sat down cross-legged, and continued his breathing exercises. Earth is one of the 5 subsidiary planets orbiting the heavenly fortune star. From the outside, the entire planet is yellow, with countless halos of light swirling around it. The size of Earth is not much different from Vermilion Bird Star. The Zhuanyuan sect is the only level 6 cultivation nation on Earth. The entire Zhuanyuan sect is a self-contained nation, mostly inhabited by cultivators, especially ancestor Zhuan Ming. His cultivation has surpassed the peak attainment realm. There are very few oceans on Earth. Almost all of it is land. About 1,000,000 miles to the west of the Zhuanyuan sect is the Lingyue Kingdom. One day, the land surrounding the teleportation array of the Zhuanyuan sect was cleared. Within a radius of more than 10 miles besides the disciples of the Zhuanyuan sect, there were no other cultivators. Outside the teleportation array, the young sect master of the Zhuanyuan sect, Su Yanshin, stood silently to one side, holding a jade-colored treasure fan one in his hand, occasionally tapping it against his palm. One treasure fan, a precious folding fan. 3 days ago, he learned from a close friend in the Taiyuan sect that someone from the purple lineage would be going to the Earth Star as an envoy to the Lingyue Kingdom. Su Yanshin wouldn't normally pay attention to such a small matter, but after learning that the person coming was Wang Lin, the 7th son of the purple lineage, a newly recruited disciple of Taiyuanzi, his heart immediately trembled. As a subordinate planet of Taiyuanzi, the 6th-level sect Zhuanyuan sect had a very complete record of Taiyuanzi's disciples, understanding all their preferences. However, their focus was on those who achieved the title of Taiyuanzi's 7 sons. As for Wang Lin, if he hadn't received so much attention on the day of Taiyuanzi's birthday celebration, they wouldn't have paid much attention to him. At that time, Wang Lin had suddenly emerged out of nowhere. The Zhuanyuan sect knew very little about him. Moreover, the Zhuanyuan sect believed Wang Lin had great potential. Forming an alliance now was much better than later, hence today's events. Behind Su Yanshin stood several people. Their hair was all white. They were elders of the Zhuanyuan sect, and all of them possessed considerable cultivation. Time slowly passed, and at midday, under the blazing sun, a buzzing sound suddenly emanated from within the teleportation array. This sound immediately caught Su Yunshin's attention. A smile appeared on his face as he retracted his treasure fan and looked towards the array. From within the formation, a rumbling sound grew louder and louder. Finally, streaks of dark light rose from the ground, spreading across the sky, forming a massive, illusory symbol. At the center of this symbol, the space vibrated and twisted, gradually revealing the figure of a person. This person wore purple robes, and on their waist was a token engraved with the character 7. The symbol above the formation gradually dissipated, and from within, Wang Lin stepped out, his gaze calmly sweeping across the surroundings. Finally, he looked towards Su Yunshin in front of him. Su Yunshin scrutinized him, then burst into laughter, taking a few steps forward and bowing, saying, "Are you Wang Lin, a disciple of Senior Tia Yunzi?" Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, and he bowed, saying, "That's me, Wang. May I ask who you are?" Su Yunshin still had a smile on his lips as he said, "I am Su Yunshin, the young sect master of the Zhuanyuan sect." Hearing that Brother Wang had arrived, he immediately went out to greet him, fulfilling his duties as a host. "Brother Wang, you can't refuse." Wang Lin smiled slightly. Su Yunshin's cultivation was the same as his, both at the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. His purpose in leaving the Heavenly Fortune sect was to find a quiet place to cultivate peacefully. The competition within the Heavenly Fortune sect was too intense, unsuitable for cultivation. Now that he had just arrived in the Earth realm, it wasn't convenient to directly refuse someone's request. Along the way, Su Yunshin chatted cheerfully, briefly recounting his experiences in the Earth realm. In the Zhuanyuan sect, Su Yunshin arranged a tranquil place for Wang Lin. After agreeing to meet again the next day, Su Yunshin took his leave. The surroundings were extremely elegant, with a profound sense of tranquility. Wang Lin stood in the house, opening the window to look outside. The garden outside was filled with many beautiful flowers, all in full bloom. Wang Lin pushed open the door and leisurely strolled through this world of flowers. The most important thing right now is to improve my cultivation. Although I've been away from Vermilion Bird Star for many years, that name, Thaklam, is still like a sword hanging over my throat. He might leave the ancient godland one day, and then he'll definitely come looking for me. Wang Lin frowned. Thaklam's presence remained like a knife to his throat, like a noose, forcing Wang Lin to constantly cultivate. Only in this way could he survive. Looking at the various flowers in the garden, Wang Lin's eyes showed a hint of hesitation. The slaughter precept. I've studied this technique a bit along the way, and it truly has some ingenious aspects. Using the life seal for protection can also provide great defense. That heaven-defying pearl still lacks the metal attribute to be complete. This metal attribute issue needs to be addressed soon. Sichu Nan once analyzed that only when the 5 elements are complete can this pearl accept a master. Only then can its true power be revealed. However, I don't know what kind of divine abilities this heaven-defying pearl possesses that could cause the people of the Cultivation Alliance to fight over it back then. I also wonder what the Vermilion Bird Star is like now. Wang Lin raised his head and looked towards the void. His gaze seemed to penetrate the void, looking towards the Vermilion Bird Star, which was extremely far from here. After staying at the Zhuanyuan sect for 2 days, Su Yunshin took Wang Lin to the 5-level cultivation nation, Lingyu Kingdom. For these 2 days, Su Yunshin spoke with goodwill, and their relationship was very good, even somewhat harmonious. As for the Lingyu Kingdom, they had already learned that the Heavenly Fortune sect had sent disciples to serve as envoys. The entire Lingyu Kingdom immediately prioritized this matter. The various sects in the country had already made adequate preparations, only waiting to welcome the envoys. Outside the borders of the Lingyu Kingdom, Su Yunshin smiled slightly, flying along as he spoke. "Brother Wang, this is the Lingyu 5-level cultivation kingdom. It's not large, with only 4 sects, but its specialty, the rat spirit beast, is quite famous even on our Earth star." Wang Lin nodded. Their speed was very fast, and in an instant they had crossed the border, flying straight towards the Lingyu Kingdom. In the center of the Lingyu Kingdom stood a massive skyscraper. This was the residence of generations of envoys. At this moment, outside the tower, more than 100 cultivators stood silently side by side, waiting for the messenger to arrive. Soon after, 2 arcs of light flew rapidly from the horizon. accompanied by gusts of wind. Everyone outside the tower immediately looked up. As the two arcs approached, the cultivators below the tower respectfully shouted in unison, "Fifth level cultivation nation, Lingyu Kingdom, respectfully greets the envoy," and pays respects to the young sect master of Zhuanyuan sect. Su Yunshin laughed loudly, his voice echoing, "Brother Wang, I bid you farewell. If we have time later, let's have a drink and talk again." Having said that, Su Yunshin's figure flashed, like a bolt of lightning, flying into the distance. With Su Yunshin gone, only Wang Lin remained in the air. He stood in midair, his gaze calmly sweeping across the surroundings. Among the hundreds of cultivators present, more than 10 were the most powerful, all having reached the late stage of the nascent soul realm. The others had lower cultivation levels. One of them caught Wang Lin's attention. This man had white hair and appeared very old. He was the most powerful, almost having stepped 1 foot into the peak-seeking realm. Wang Lin slowly descended, standing beneath the pagoda. Without waiting for the cultivators to speak, Wang Lin calmly said, "Although I am an envoy, I will not interfere in any matters. Continue as you normally would. From today onwards, no one is allowed to enter within a 1,000-mile radius of this place. I wish to go into seclusion." The monks present were all stunned, but these were all cultivators who had practiced for countless years and had become seasoned experts. At this moment, they were only momentarily speechless. Their expressions unchanged, and they nodded in agreement before dispersing one by one. The old man, who had already placed 1 foot in the nascent soul stage, carefully assessed Wang Lin before turning and leaving. Many of the monks beside him hurriedly followed. In a short time, the area beneath the pagoda was completely empty except for Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he directly entered the pagoda. Inside, he sat cross-legged, his right hand patting his storage bag, and a forbidden banner immediately appeared in his hand. He swung it, and countless black energies surged out from within the forbidden banner, filling an area of 1,000 miles around the pagoda. Instantly, the area within 1,000 miles was shrouded in a dark mist, full of bloom. Having done all this, Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then pointed his right hand at his forehead and spat out a 3-John-tall banner. Inside the soul-suppressing banner, although many souls were lost, some of the main souls still remained at this moment. Wang Lin shook the soul-suppressing banner. Except for the soul of the Killin, which could not be released, all the other main souls were released and merged into the black mist created by the Forbidden's formation, serving as a defensive measure. Having finished everything, Wang Lin took a deep breath and flipped his right hand. A jade slip appeared in his hand. This jade slip was gray, and it was indeed the one given to him by the gray-robed Heavenly Fortune Master, the Slaughter Immortal Technique. The Slaughter Immortal Technique, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and his divine consciousness immediately swept through it. Time slowly passed, and a month went by in the blink of an eye. During this month, several sects of the Lingyu Kingdom were puzzled by the attitude of this newly arrived envoy. It's worth noting that previous envoys had always demanded spirit stones and immortal jade, causing considerable trouble. Therefore, the sects had to provide some, almost becoming a custom. But now, this person from the Heavenly Fortune Star, rumored to be a disciple of the senior Heavenly Fortune Master, hadn't stepped outside even a single step. Moreover, a 1,000-mile radius around his residence was shrouded in a black mist, preventing ordinary people from entering. Although some cultivators from the transformation realm wanted to go in and investigate, they all changed color after only advancing less than 100 feet, their faces turning grim, and they hastily turned back. Gradually, this new envoy became shrouded in mystery for the cultivators of the Spirit Music Kingdom. At this moment, inside the Tongshan Tower, Wang Lin sat cross-legged. His posture hadn't changed in the slightest compared to a month ago. During this month, his entire mind had been immersed in the gray jade slip. Inside the jade slip was the Slaughter Immortal Technique, which was actually a life seal. This seal contained a strange divine ability, and comprehending it was no simple matter. Wang Lin's aptitude wasn't top tier, and comprehending the Slaughter Immortal Technique was extremely complex. In a short period of time, Wang Lin could only slowly contemplate and carefully comprehend it to gradually master it. Wang Lin knew this couldn't be rushed. As time passed, Wang Lin persevered in his cultivation. Another half-month passed, and the curiosity of the cultivators of Lingyu Kingdom towards the new envoy not only did not diminish but actually increased. All of this was because, from within the 1,000-mile-wide black mist surrounding the Tongshan Tower, which had been quiet for the past month, the past half-month had been filled with howling and screeching sounds, like a flying sword frantically darting back and forth. Interspersed with these were earth-shattering roars. This immediately piqued the curiosity of all the cultivators of Lingyu Kingdom. A few days ago, the top expert of Lingyu Kingdom, the old man who had already stepped 1 foot into the peak-seeking realm, had finally made a trip to the Tongshan Tower. 3 days later, the old man returned, his face extremely grim, his eyes filled with terror. Upon his return, all sects issued orders to their disciples that no one was allowed to enter the 1,000-mile radius around the Tongshan Tower, otherwise they would be punished as treason. From then on, the 1,000-mile radius around the Tongshan Tower became a forbidden area of the Lingyu Kingdom. For half a month, Wang Lin continued to study the slaughter immortal technique. This technique was entirely based on killing. The more killing one committed, the more the life mark accumulated. Upon reaching a certain level, the life mark became the most impenetrable defense in the world. However, cultivating this divine ability was extremely difficult. For half a month, Wang Lin still couldn't find a starting point for cultivating the slaughter immortal technique. Finally, he gave up his research and focused on comprehending the heavenly Tao, continuously refining his own cultivation method. During this time, the divine archer chariot retaliated once. This was the first time it had retaliated since the first seal was broken. Wang Lin had prepared beforehand. During the battle with the Ku beast for several days, he used a secret technique to suppress it, causing this retaliatory attack to fail. The old man from Lingyu Kingdom entered the 1,000-mile radius of the Tongshan Tower at that time. He had seen the Ku beast with his own eyes. After suppressing the divine archer chariot, Wang Lin meditated for several days. One day, he opened his eyes wide, a look of understanding appearing in them. The slaughter immortal technique must be comprehended from within killing. Simply sitting idly while cultivating lacks flexibility. To truly cultivate it, one needs to actually kill. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He stood up, took a step forward, and instantly vanished from the Tongshan Tower. 1,000 feet above the Tongshan Tower, Wang Lin, clad entirely in black, his eyes shining like torches, stood upright in midair. He pushed his hand forward, instantly drawing in all the swirling black mist within a 1,000-mile radius. The scene was as if the mist from 1,000 miles around was being compressed and frantically condensing in front of Wang Lin's right hand. The weather changed dramatically. From within the black mist, thunder rumbled incessantly, shaking the heavens and earth, echoing throughout the entire Lingyu Kingdom. Almost instantly, all the black mist covering 1,000 miles condensed into a fist-sized sphere of black electric light. Inside this sphere, swirling clouds and smoke enveloped it, and countless forbidden runes flickered, sometimes bright, sometimes dim. A powerful oppressive aura emanated from within. Wang Lin lightly touched the sphere with his right hand, and the restrictions on it flickered, then suddenly collapsed, transforming into countless black mists that swirled around his body. Finally, they intertwined before him, forming a dark purple forbidden banner. The banner's leaves fluttered, emitting a rustling sound. At this moment, the sky within 1,000 miles reappeared. However, there were still faint howling sounds from the void, and occasionally a few dark shadows flashed. Master Souls, absorb! Wang Lin opened his mouth wide, and immediately the Master Souls within 1,000 miles broke through the void and flew straight into his mouth, marching into the soul banner within his primordial spirit. This cultivation of the slaughter immortal technique was also an opportunity to refine the soul banner. This would give him a few more chances of survival on the heavenly fortune star. Besides, my master told me to go to the East Sea within 3 months. Now there's only a little over a month left. Should I go or not? Wang Lin's eyes flashed, his divine consciousness sweeping across the entire Lingyu Kingdom. Then he took a step forward, transforming into a wisp of smoke and disappearing. Lingyu Kingdom, 5 Spirits Mountain. The top expert of the entire Lingyu Kingdom, the old man who had already stepped 1 foot into the peak of the realm, was the Tiatai Elder of 5 Spirits Mountain. He was sitting cross-legged on the peak of 5 Spirits Mountain, absorbing the yin energy, quietly breathing in and out. After a while, the Tiatai Elder opened his eyes, calmly looked towards the sky, and slowly said, I, Tiatai, greet the envoy, F. From the air, a purple figure flashed out. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, and he bowed to the Tiatai elder, saying, "Thank you for your trouble." The old man of Tiatai sighed deeply, shaking his head and saying, "It was I who was reckless a few days ago. If it weren't for this old Taoist disregarding the rules and entering the 1,000-mile radius around the Tongshan Tower, disturbing the beast, the envoy would have easily subdued this creature. It's all right." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at the old man of Tiatai. This man's cultivation had obviously reached this stage. For a cultivator in the transformation stage, this step is the most crucial, a choice between life and death. "Envoy, you didn't come to reprimand this old Taoist for trespassing. So what do you want with this old man who's already half dead?" The old man of Tiatai's eyelids slightly closed as he spoke in a low voice. Wang Lin gazed into the distance and slowly said, "Are there any places on this earth realm where demonic beasts gather?" The old man of the heavenly terrace frowned, pondered for a moment, then reached out and grabbed the void, instantly producing a jade slip. He said, "There are 3 places on this earth realm where demonic beasts gather, all contained within this jade slip. Envoy, you'll know at a glance." Receiving the jade slip, Wang Lin's divine consciousness swept over it. He nodded to the old man of the heavenly terrace, said nothing more, and instantly transformed into a blur, disappearing from the spot. The northernmost point of the earth. Within a radius of 1,000,000 miles around Mount Songmeng, countless demonic beasts gathered. This place even contained savage beasts with strength equivalent to the peak level cultivation. It was a place for disciples of various sects to test their skills. However, the area within 300,000 miles in the center was considered a forbidden zone, not easily accessible. Wang Lin put the jade slip in his hand into his storage bag, aiming precisely. He drew his right hand in the air in front of him, and immediately a silver light appeared within a few meters around his body. Within this silver light, Wang Lin took a step forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, as if climbing a ladder to heaven. He took 10 consecutive steps. These 10 steps were the limit of his teleportation ability at this moment. After taking 10 steps, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and his whole body flicked. At this moment, his figure transformed from 1 into 10, beginning to flash intensely. Finally, only a thunderclap echoed. After the sound faded, no figure remained. In the far north of the earth, a large amount of silver light suddenly appeared in the sky. The vast, cloudless blue horizon was suddenly filled with a strange phenomenon. A silent ripple appeared, instantly spreading in all directions. After about 3 breaths, a dazzling silver light flashed at the center of this ripple, suddenly becoming shimmering. At this moment, the silver light was comparable to sunlight, as if a silver sun had appeared in the sky. Within this silver light, Wang Lin's figure slowly emerged. His face was somewhat pale. After appearing, he took a deep breath and took out a pill from his storage bag. After consuming it, he gradually felt better. When he appeared, the silver light slowly disappeared, and the strange phenomenon in the horizon gradually returned to its original state. Wang Lin didn't stop, directly transforming into a streak of purple light, heading towards the hundreds of thousands of miles ahead of Songming Mountain. Before him, the ground was no longer yellow, but instead emitted a layer of eerie blue light. A massive, towering stone tablet had been planted in the ground by someone using immense magical power. Its surface bore large red characters, filled with murderous intent, Northern Realm Earth Demon. These 4 characters exuded a powerful aura, almost striking directly at the eye. A dense, howling gale formed all around. Wang Lin stood before this massive stone tablet, then silently gazed behind it for a long time. A thin mist obscured his vision, but it didn't hinder his sight. Wang Lin looked closely, his divine consciousness sweeping across the area, allowing him to see to the very end. This was an endless mountain range, stretching to infinity. There were no paths on the ground, only thick layers of decaying leaves, permeated with a putrid smell. Aside from that, the interior was eerily quiet, without a sound. Even in broad daylight, a chilling sensation continuously permeated the air, filling the entire place. Wang Lin carefully observed for a long time, then lifted his foot and stepped forward. The slaughter immortal technique, only through killing can one comprehend its profound mysteries. Today, I will cultivate this slaughter immortal technique in the northern demon realm. Just then, several streaks of sword light pierced through the sky from the distant horizon. These streaks of sword light were multicolored, emitting waves of abundant spiritual power, clearly indicating they belong to individuals with considerable cultivation. Senior brother, we've arrived. A voice echoed before the sword light even reached them. Wang Lin's footsteps didn't falter even slightly because of the appearance of others. He didn't even bother to glance at the sword light from behind, directly stepping into the territory of the Northern Demon Realm, his figure disappearing into the thin mist. Not long after his figure vanished, the sword light descended to the foot of the stone tablet marking the Northern Demon Realm, transforming into 5 figures. These 5 were 2 women and 3 men, their clothes divided into 2 groups. One group had bright, beautiful clothes and a captivating spiritual aura. Senior brother, I think I saw someone enter here just now. A young woman in thin silk robes, with a very beautiful mouth, spoke up. This woman looked young, but her cultivation had reached the late stage of the core formation realm. Among the 3 men, one had a dignified appearance, around middle age, wearing a 2-colored white and blue long robe, his hair tied back with a silk ribbon. On his back, he carried an ancient-style long sword. Hearing the young woman's words, he smiled slightly. This isn't a forbidden area anyway. Many people from various sects come here to train. What's so strange about seeing someone enter? Let's wait a while until our senior uncles arrive, then we'll go in. The cultivators we encounter will naturally avoid us. There's no need to worry. Yes, Brother Gu's sect is the Great Luo Sword sect, one of the top 2 sects on the Heavenly Fortune Star. Even disciples of the Heavenly Fortune sect, if their cultivation is low, will immediately avoid us. Not to mention the smaller sects on this Earth star. Another man among the 3 said with a fawning smile. This man appeared to be around 27 or 28 years old, wearing a blue robe. The other man and woman remained silent. The woman, however, harbored a hint of hatred in her gaze towards the 3, especially when facing the man surnamed Guo. The hatred in her eyes was completely unconcealed. Of the 2 women, this one was more beautiful. She wore thin white silk trousers, tied with an elegant silk butterfly-shaped bow at her waist, and a light hairpin tucked into her hair. Her skin was translucent like jade, without a trace of makeup. If it weren't for the hatred etched on her face, her demeanor would undoubtedly be even more beautiful. The man surnamed Gu smiled slightly, paying no attention to the other woman's gaze, and said softly and gently, Miss Tachin, rest assured, I will leave you one of the miraculous golden fruits. Enough for you to take back to your sect. The woman named Tachin sneered, glaring hatefully at the man surnamed Guo, and coldly said, with the prestige of the Great Luo Sword sect, I never imagined you would resort to such despicable tactics. I, Tachin, must have been blind to have misjudged you. The man surnamed Guo shook his head and said, heavenly treasures and earthly wonders. If one has a little luck, anyone can discover them. My martial uncle highly values this miraculous gold fruit. You invited me to assist in the battle, so naturally I must inform my sect. Inside the Northern Demon Realm, Wang Lin's figure moved like lightning, swiftly flying away, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. Great Luo Sword Sect, interesting, just in time to find the whereabouts of Senior Joey, but I wonder what kind of thing this miraculous gold fruit is. Below the Northern Demon Realm Steely, 3 incense sticks later, a sound of tearing wind echoed from the distant horizon, and 3 powerful streaks of light rushed forward. Like 3 sharp swords, with the momentum of 1,000 armies, they descended from the sky, directly stopping beside the 7 people standing beneath the stele. A series of rumbling sounds erupted, and a sudden wave of energy emanated from the ground, spreading in all directions. Except for the man surnamed Guo, the others were all blown back more than 10 meters. The entire group turned pale, their eyes filled with fear. As the energy dissipated, the figures of 3 men emerged from beneath the stone tablet. These 3 were elderly men with white hair, dressed in black robes, emitting a dense aura of sword energy. Each of them carried an ancient-style sword on their backs. Waves of sword power emanated from these 3 swords. Their cultivation levels were, one at the late stage of the Transformation God realm, and the other 2 at the early stage of the Nascent Soul realm. Upon seeing these 3, the man surnamed Guo was instantly shaken. He quickly turned and respectfully said, Guo Shi, the 6th disciple, greets his senior uncle. He bowed to the only one of the 3 old men at the Transformation God realm. Guo Shi's expression was one of utmost reverence. The old man at the late stage of the transformation god realm smiled slightly, nodded, and said, Guo Xi, come and pay your respects to the two elders of the Sword Pavilion. After saying this, he stepped aside and gave Guo Xi a meaningful look. Guo Tei hurriedly knelt on one knee, his posture even more respectful than before, and said, Disciple greets the elder. Two early-stage transformation realm elders, one tall and one short, stood before him. The taller elder nodded slightly and said, Stand up and speak. You discovered the miraculous gold fruit, didn't you? Guo Xi hastily stood up, pointing to the woman, Tia Chen, who stood more than 10 yards away, still silent but with a cold gaze, and said, She's a friend of mine. The miraculous gold fruit was discovered by her sect, but unfortunately, it's guarded by a demonic beast. With the strength of her sect, they couldn't obtain it. I happened to be passing by and agreed to accompany her. The two early-stage transformation realm elders exchanged glances. The shorter elder suddenly said, Girl, how many miraculous gold fruits did you see in total? Tianqin didn't want to speak, but under the other's lightning-like gaze, she couldn't help but lower her voice and say, There are approximately 100 of them. 100? The short old man's eyes suddenly gleamed with a sharp light, and he said in a deep voice, 100 miraculous golden fruits. The guardian beasts must be extremely powerful. It's no simple feat for your sect to find them. Tianqin remained silent. The man in white standing beside her angrily retorted, My sect has exhausted all its efforts, even sacrificing several elders, just to discover the location of those miraculous golden fruits. Your great Luo's sword sect shut up. Tianqin raised her eyebrows and softly rebuked. The man's face flushed with anger. He took several deep breaths, shook his head, and dismissed the matter, saying nothing more. At this moment, Guo Xi hesitated for a moment, then respectfully said, Elder, Tianqin is a friend of mine. After obtaining the miraculous golden fruits, could you give her one? The tall old man laughed heartily upon hearing this, saying, If we find it, giving her one is only natural. Lead the way. Tianqin sighed inwardly, her heart filled with complex emotions. At this moment, she absolutely had to lead the way. Otherwise, it would certainly implicate her entire sect. With the arrogance of the Great Luo's sword sect, all resistance would be completely suppressed. Moreover, these two people before her were elders of the Great Luo's sword immortal sect. The aura they emitted was countless times stronger than that of her sect's grand elder. Compared to the Great Luo's sword sect, her sect was like a firefly. How could she dare to resist? Guo Zi, I wasted my trust in you. Tianqin felt bitter, turning her head to glare fiercely at Guo Ziyi, gritting her teeth as she stepped into the northern demon realm before her. Behind her, the white-robed fellow disciple followed with a gloomy expression. The group from the Great Luo's sword sect also entered the northern demon realm, merging into the thin mist and gradually disappearing from sight. Wang Lin was inside the Pine Serpent mountain range. Along the way, his hands were clasped behind his back, his feet about 3 feet above the ground, slowly flying. In his mind, he was constantly analyzing the various variations of the slaughter immortal technique and how to transform life force into the life mark. The surrounding mountains were eerily silent. Suddenly, from the darkness ahead, a faint light flashed. At the same time, a figure, as fast as lightning, darted out from that darkness, heading straight for Wang Lin. The figure's speed was incredibly fast, almost instantly reaching Wang Lin. A cloud of black mist enveloped its entire body, and a pungent smell of blood immediately assailed him. Wang Lin's movements remained unchanged, not even his eyes shifting. The moment the figure in the black mist rushed forward, he pointed his right hand at the void. This single point directly pierced into the black mist. Instantly, a wisp of dust emanated from its body as Wang Lin's fingertip moved. However, this dust was extremely faint, dissipating by more than half as soon as it appeared. Only a small amount of dust from its body truly entered the black mist. From within the black mist, a series of sizzling sounds immediately emanated, like melting snowflakes. The mist seemed to boil, slowly dissipating in all directions. The figure revealed was a small beast the size of a fist. This beast had no legs. Its entire body consisted only of a large, gaping mouth. It had no fangs, but streams of saliva poured out from it. Clearly, the saliva in its mouth possessed immense destructive power. At this moment, Wang Lin's finger directly pierced into the body of the small beast. With a slight movement of his fingertip, the beast's body instantly exploded with a bang, shattering into pieces and completely disappearing. Wang Lin withdrew his hand and continued moving forward. The moment he withdrew his finger, a faint wisp of dust flew out from where the beast shattered, swirling around Wang Lin's fingertip for a long time without dissipating. The slaughter immortal technique, recovering life force through killing. I wonder if the dust on my fingertip is life force. Wang Lin looked down at the swirling dust on his fingertip, pondered for a moment, and then continued flying forward. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin's speed was quite fast along this path, but he hadn't yet penetrated too deeply. His divine consciousness continuously spread out, focusing on the Great Luo Sword Sect members who followed him. Every move of the opponent was detected by Wang Lin's divine consciousness, leaving nothing to hide. Wang Lin wanted to know what the wonderful gold fruit actually was. Moreover, he planned to use the people of the Great Luo Sword Sect, especially those two early-stage nascent soul cultivators, as test subjects for his slaughter immortal technique. Wang Lin had never had a good impression of the Great Luo Sword Sect. As Wang Lin flew through the mountain range, the amount of dust on his right index finger had become several times denser than before. The dust quickly flowed along a path on Wang Lin's fingertip. The number of demonic beasts in the northern demon realm was indeed considerable. However, none of these demonic beasts could pose a threat to Wang Lin. If it weren't for wanting to see what the wonderful gold fruit was, Wang Lin would have long since directly ventured deeper into the area and used powerful demonic beasts to test his slaughter immortal technique. One day, Wang Lin's finger was withdrawn from the forehead of a bull-like beast, whose cultivation level was equivalent to a nascent soul cultivator. In an instant, a thick cloud of dust emanated from the beast's forehead, lingering around Wang Lin's fingertip. The bull-like beast trembled, its fierce eyes gradually dimmed, and finally it completely collapsed to the ground, motionless. At that moment, a bolt of lightning streaked across the sky from afar, accompanied by a ferocious roar. The ferocious figure of the serpent-like beast appeared before Wang Lin, its massive tentacles directly piercing deep into the bull-like beast's head. The beast's inner core and blood essence were instantly absorbed by the serpent-like beast. Only a pile of dry bones remained on the ground. After the serpent-like beast had absorbed everything, a faint white light emanated from its body, flashing a few times before disappearing. The ferocious fur on its body became even more eerie. Obviously, the Wen beast was extremely happy, letting out a roar, flapping its wings, and flying around Wang Lin. Along the way, whenever Wang Lin killed a demon beast with a cultivation level of transformation god or higher, he would release the Wen beast, allowing it to absorb the inner core and essence of flesh and blood, promoting its growth. If this method wasn't unsuitable for Lei Washington, Wang Lin would have released Lei Washington as well. After all, the Wen beast was a creature from the starry sky. Although he didn't know why it appeared in the cultivation demon sea of the Vermilion Bird Star back then, its ferocity was unmatched by demon beasts on ordinary cultivation planets. This beast specialized in devouring. It could devour anything in the world. The more it absorbed, the stronger its power became. Since following Wang Lin, it had consumed countless elixirs, rare treasures, and inner cores. Although its strength remained at the nascent soul stage, even some demon beasts with cultivation equivalent to the god transformation stage couldn't help but be intimidated by its ferocity. Wang Lin took a step forward, instantly hovering in midair. The beast roared, its body moving slightly, stopping like lightning beneath Wang Lin's feet, lifting him up and flying towards the depths of the area. As they flew, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed. The beast immediately sensed this, stopping without hesitation, motionless, awaiting Wang Lin's command. Wang Lin looked south, a rare smile appearing on his lips, muttering, "Have you found the miraculous gold fruit?" With a slight thought, this time the beast made no sound. Like a wandering soul in the dark night, silently and swiftly flying south. However, its eyes contained a bloodthirsty glint, like a dark, flickering flame. Wang Lin had been paying close attention to the beast's transformations over the past few days. He sensed that this beast was at a crucial moment, seemingly on the verge of a breakthrough. Each time it devoured the inner core and blood essence of another beast, a white light would flash from its body, similar to when it devoured the white silver spear during the shattered star chaos. Looking at those eyes emitting a dark, fiery glow, an image suddenly appeared in Wang Lin's mind. On a vast planet, countless beasts, their numbers reaching to the heavens, stretched endlessly. They all displayed ferocious tentacles, their eyes seemingly containing sparks of fire. The Great Lewis Sword Sex group moved at an extremely fast speed, without stopping, heading straight towards their goal. Along the way, if they encountered any demonic beasts, the two early-stage nascent soul elders could instantly obliterate them with a single hand seal. In Takin's eyes, these demonic beasts were incredibly powerful. Her sect had struggled so hard to defeat them, yet now they were dying so easily. Seeing this scene, her heart grew even more bitter. Vaguely, she had a resigned thought. This time, as long as she could obtain a miraculous golden fruit, that would be enough. As for Guo Ziyi, along the way, he had been somewhat solicitous, constantly engaging in conversation with Tiaqin, clearly trying to mend their relationship. When Tiaqin was in a desperate situation, seeing the power of the Great Lewis Sword Sect would make her realize right from wrong and learn to be patient. The old man, the nascent soul stage master of Guo Ziyi, occasionally glanced at Tiaqin's graceful figure along the way, gradually revealing a strange glint in his eyes. Although everything seemed calm from the outside, even encountering some powerful demonic beasts, the two early-stage nascent soul stage elders of the Great Lewis Sword Sect could easily handle them. However, in reality, the most tense after entering this place were these two elders of the Great Lewis Sword Sect. This wasn't their first time entering the Northern Demon Realm, but this time was truly bizarre. They felt nothing at first, but the deeper they went, the more a pressure, capable of causing collapse, silently and gradually enveloped them. This kind of feeling might not be perceived by others, but the two elder-level cultivators of the Great Lewis Sword Sect, at the early stage of the transformation realm, felt it very deeply. It seemed as if a gaze was constantly focused on them. But not just once. When their divine senses searched, they found nothing, as if it were just an illusion. We haven't yet ventured deep into the Northern Demon Realm, so logically, there shouldn't be many wild beasts appearing. But this feeling is very clear. Why? Following behind, the two elders of the Great Lewis Sword Sect maintained their usual composure. But their hearts were filled with immense pressure as they communicated with each other through their divine senses. Enough, this place is too eerie. After this is over, we too must leave quickly for our own safety. Every breath I take in here feels difficult, like being crushed by 1,000 mountains, and I also have a feeling of impending collapse, an overwhelming urge to kill. This feeling has never appeared since I, Shai, attained the God transformation realm. You also feel aroused and want to kill. Before, when I encountered the bitter shadow beast, I almost lost control of this feeling. Shai Fang, there's definitely something wrong here. Shouldn't we leave now? The short old man listened for a moment, his eyes flashing, and quickly relayed the message. Old man Shai pondered for a moment, glanced at the younger generation ahead, shook his head slightly and transmitted a message. We've come this far, and there are only less than 3 days left. There shouldn't be anything too serious. It's best if we leave faster. The two looked at each other, remaining silent, and continued onward. The group ahead, including the old man in the nascent soul stage, didn't notice the horror in the eyes of the two behind them, still feeling that this journey had been somewhat smooth. This miraculous gold fruit is not edible. It's a material for refining weapons. After using this fruit, all metallic objects can unleash greater power. The more fruits used, the greater the power. It's rumored that the 4 illusory swords of Sword Venerable Ling Tianhu of the Great Lewis Sword Sect were forged using a vast amount of miraculous gold fruit. The sheer quantity used was unimaginable, allowing for the creation of those 4 supreme swords. The growing environment of this miraculous gold fruit is extremely peculiar, almost without fixed characteristics. To be precise, it's transformed from the primordial gold of heaven and earth. In this vast universe, any place can become its growing ground. When the fruit begins to grow, it is initially no different from other wild fruits. Only when it matures does it rapidly transform, becoming filled with metal attribute energy. After ripening, its withering cycle varies in length. It can be as short as a few moments or as long as several months. There is no pattern to this. Even if there were, no one has ever heard of anyone understanding it. Once the fruit ripens, it attracts metal attribute spirit beasts to guard it, thus transforming into guardian beasts. When all the wondrous gold fruits wither, these withered fruits will merge into the root, forming a metal spiritual root. If a metal spirit beast swallows this, its consciousness will be greatly enlightened, offering many benefits. However, if the wondrous gold fruits are taken while guarding it, it will affect the formation of the spiritual root. If too many are taken, the metal spiritual root cannot be formed. After the Great Lua Sword Sex group departed, Wang Lin's figure, seated on the one beast, silently appeared. His gaze was calm as he looked towards where the group had disappeared, without any haste, slowly following them. The Great Lua Sword Sex group, because the two elders sensed danger, had increased their speed considerably. What would normally take 3 days to traverse was covered in just over a day and a half. At this moment, the woman who had been leading the way pointed to a spot ahead and softly said, 2 months ago, a junior from my sect discovered the miraculous gold fruit here. Everyone's eyes followed her gaze. At this point, between the two mountains, there was a valley. The valley was very quiet, without a sound. The ground was mainly covered with decaying leaves, emitting an unpleasant odor. Looking closer, a faint golden light emanated from within the valley. However, the valley was obscured by many large trees, making it difficult to see clearly. After speaking, Tiaxin quickly retreated, saying nothing more. The two elders of the Great Lua Sword Sect exchanged glances. The tall old man took 2 steps forward, his right hand forming a hand seal, directly pressing into the void in front of him. Immediately, a staff imbued with dense immortal power condensed before him. In an instant, it transformed into a gust of immortal wind, blowing into the valley. As it flew, the decaying leaves on the ground immediately dissipated one by one, revealing the hidden earth beneath. The trees obstructing the valley also silently turned into dust, scattering in all directions. A straight passage suddenly appeared before everyone. At the end of this passage was the valley itself. It was mostly overgrown with weeds, but everyone's eyes immediately focused on a spot to the west. Within the tangled mass of weeds, a large patch of yellow flowers was revealed. These yellow flowers weren't just a few blossoms, but a whole cluster. At a glance, there were no fewer than 10 competing to show off their beauty. Beneath these flowers was a cluster of small, egg-shaped fruits, about the size of a fingertip. These fruits were pale yellow and covered with numerous tiny seeds. From a distance, they looked like grapes growing together. Extremely ordinary, nothing magical about them, just like wild fruits. The miraculous golden fruit. It really is the miraculous golden fruit. Upon seeing this fruit, the eyes of the two elders of the Great Lua Sword Sect immediately lit up. They didn't immediately enter the valley but carefully examined it. Finally, their gaze focused entirely on a patch of weeds about a meter away from the miraculous golden fruit. Above this patch of weeds, there were several dry, yellow leaves. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about it. After all, dry, yellow leaves were everywhere in the valley. But at that moment, a gentle breeze suddenly blew through. This breeze swirled slightly, creating a rustling sound of moving grass. As the grass moved, the dry, yellow leaves swayed, swaying and falling with the wind. But as the dry leaves fluttered, everyone gasped in shock. To the left of the countless leaves, a large mass of dense red dots suddenly appeared in the swirling air. These red dots were motionless, as if these tiny clusters had grown entirely beneath the dry leaves. 9-leaved insects elder Shai Fang of the Great Lua Sword Sect said calmly and solemnly, then glanced at the short old man beside him. 100 wondrous golden fruits naturally have guardian beasts. It's not surprising to find 9-leaved insects. However, dealing with these 9-leaved insects requires a medicinal guide. The short old man's eyes suddenly gleamed as he glanced at the young man in white beside him, a cruel smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, none of these people noticed that a ferocious figure was floating motionless 1,000 feet behind them. A person sat on the back of this ferocious figure. This person's eyes were icy cold, showing no sign of worrying. That thing is a golden spiritual root. Why is it called the miraculous golden fruit? Surely these people don't know its tree use. Speaking of this fruit, they don't understand its best use. These fruits are truly insignificant. Wang Lin's eyes flashed like lightning. Although the name miraculous golden fruit sounded unfamiliar to him, he had found related records in the ancient god Tut's memories. If this thing was naturally formed from formless primordial gold, it would have existed for a very long time. In Tut's memories, the best thing about this thing was that it could be used to swallow a golden spiritual root, making one's body even stronger. For the ancient god when he was young, this thing was also a rare tonic. As Wang Lin pondered, he suddenly lowered his head and looked at the wind beast. A faint white light flickered on its body. Its eyes were fixed on the miraculous gold fruit inside the valley 1,000 feet away, revealing intense longing. Wang Lin's heart stirred slightly, and he gently patted the wind beast's head with his right hand. The wind beast turned its head to look at Wang Lin, and after seeing Wang Lin nod, its eyes lit up with excitement. It quickly turned around and continued to intently gaze at the miraculous gold fruit, its eyes now filled with a determination to obtain it. Does this thing have any special effect on wind beasts? Wang Lin's eyes flashed. The two elders of the Great Luo Sword sect exchanged glances. At this moment, the short old man suddenly lunged forward, and the white-robed fellow disciple beside Tachet immediately screamed, his entire body seized by an invisible force, and he was directly thrown into the valley from outside. The moment his body entered the valley, a piercing, high-pitched sound suddenly echoed, reverberating in all directions. From beneath the countless withered branches and weeds, a large number of red dots, like lightning bolts, shot out in an instant. These red dots were densely packed and looked extremely terrifying.